award-winning director, Matty Rich, straight out of Brooklyn fame. Thanks for joining us.
What's up?
Appreciate it.
Glad to be here, definitely.
Director of Straight Outta Brooklyn, but now as a special director on behalf of TVKO, you had a chance to spend some time with both Morrison and Mercer. What was that like? What did you gain in terms of knowledge about these guys?
Well, this was like my first thing besides Straight Outta Brooklyn, and what I wanted to do was try to get inside the fighter's heart. I mean, we see these guys knocking each other out, and we see them. We don't know what these guys are really about. If they have fears going in the ring, if they think there's life after boxing, and we had some Brooklyn fun.
What did they tell you about themselves? What did you come away with most impressed about either one of these guys?
Well, I was impressed with Tommy's whole attitude about, well, he loved the whole acting thing that he started in the whole Rocky V thing, but his ambition was to take the title. But he said to me, if he lost or whatever may happen, he always could fall back on acting and things like that, but he had the long-term goal. See, the long-term goal to me is looking beyond what you're doing right now.
Right.
And that's what I'm all about. And the same thing with for Ray Mercer. He was looking beyond boxing.
What did you come away with in terms of your opinion about who might win this fight?
Well, that's a hard one for me since I got to know these guys. But I saw Ray Mercer fight Bert Cooper, and Ray's jaw was like hanging. So I was saying to myself, if Ray can stand that much pain, I don't know if Tommy can inflict that much pain that Bert Cooper did. But I think it's going to be a close fight. My heart says Morrison, but realistically, I'm saying Mercer.
You're on the line.
No, I mean, I'm from Brooklyn. I saw street fights, and I just feel that if for a brother's chin to be hanging down, you gotta withstand that much pain.
Difficult or easy to transfer what you see in real life to film?
Well, it wasn't hard for me because I grew up in Red Hook housing projects in Brooklyn. I saw so much pain, so much poverty, so much oppression. So I always, for me, could put that and relate that into a film, whatever vehicle that I would be doing. And that's what I try to do with this piece also. Try to give people a flavor of Matty Rich, a young person who started from the age of 10 reading books. At the age of 17 to 19, I did a movie called Straight Outta Brooklyn and got acclaimed fame. And what I wanted to do is show my heart in this little 5-minute piece with Morrison and Mercer.
Well, we get a chance to do that now, and I want to thank you for coming up and being our guest director, Mr. Matty Rich.
Thank you.
Much continued success to you as you go on in your career as a movie director. What's next?
Well, I'm just working. I just finished this piece, of course, and I'm working on a comic book right now. And looking forward to my next project with Universal towards in January. Definitely. You're trying to get paid, brother. You're trying to look handsome like you.
I'm trying to live up to your expectations as well. Thank you. Matty Rich, by the way, with his clothes. He's a very Natalie attired as well.
Matty Rich wear.
Is ready for the main event.
Ready?
Thank you for joining.
My brother.
Matty Rich, continuing success as a movie director. You know, ever since they met in the Olympic trials, it seems like Ray Mercer and Tommy Morrison have been on the same track. Their paths have been together, going in the same direction. Now, they're headed for a collision, maybe at a crossroads as well. Tonight, it's a chance, an opportunity for both fighters to show who's the best. We get a cinematic touch from Matty Rich and look at what's to come.
The opportunity that I have longed for, and the opportunity that has caused me so many sacrifices, both socially and physically, has finally come. And the one thing that lies in my way is yet but another warrior, a gold medal winner.
He's an outstanding fighter, and it's going to take a lot to beat him, and I'm training hard.
Tommy Morrison, this is not right.
Action. So let's talk about fears. Do you ever have fears going on?
Definitely. I think fear, and I think Mike Tyson said it's the best. Fear is the boxer's best friend. If you didn't fear anybody, then you wouldn't train hard.
Do you ever, like, think about losing?
Never.
Never.
Never. I don't like losing. I don't care if it's at checkers. You know, I'm not a good loser. I could never handle being a loser.
Who is Ray Mercer?
Ray Mercer is a man on a mission with a short time to get there, and he's a man that's not going to let Tommy Morrison or anybody get in the way of him becoming the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world.
What does this flag here, what does this mean to you, and how does this tie into Tommy Morrison?
I'm an All-American, you know, to every extent of the word. I mean, I like Chevrolets and apple pie and all that. Plus, you know, we put it on our robe because I think it's, you know, you're just proud to, you know, to display those colors and let everybody know that you are, you know, patriotic to some extent, that you're proud to be an American and you love the freedom and you know, just being an American and being able to do and say and come and go as you please.
You showed me a picture of a car, a BMW.
Oh yeah, that's my motivation for this fight.
A car?
Why do I fight? For the money. What do you mean why I fight?
Man, I want to have fun.
How does the people in the community, in the county, feel about you? I just want to give you parades and tag you like Tommy Day, Tommy Day.
Well, actually, oddly enough, there has been situations come up where they want me to be in parades and that sort of thing, but I'm the type of guy that likes to lay back a little bit. I don't like being the center of attraction. You know, I just don't.
We going island hopping.
Oh, island hopping?
Oh yeah.
You got that much money?
I'm getting it.
If there was one thing that you could say to Morrison, if he was sitting right here where I'm sitting, what would you say?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Do it in the way you want it. Go ahead. Do it in the way you want it. Go ahead. Do it in the way you want it. Go ahead. Do it in the way you want it. Go ahead.
I'm gonna kick his ass. You don't mind me saying?
What's going on with this you and Elvis? What's up, man?
Go ahead.
No mercy.
This fight is a chance, is a fight that's going to catapult me to the top of the rankings. It's going to make me basically a household name. And it's going to make people take me as a real fighter, a real contender instead of a pretender. Ray? I'm ready.
Yo, Tommy, I'm ready.
It's about time. The main event, the heavyweights, continue. Merciless Ray Mercer defending his WBO heavyweight championship against Tommy the Duke Morrison. For the action, let's go now to ringside and Lynn Berman.
Thank you, Cambrell. Exciting here. They've been introducing all the celebrities here. People like Larry Holmes, Joe Frazier got the biggest hand. The heavyweights are here to see the heavyweights. And it's interesting to note, Joe, that even though these two fighters are undefeated, so much is said and written about Morrison and Mercer, referring to them as flawed heavyweights. Do you buy it?
Well, every fighter's got their flaws, but nobody's yet been able to capitalize and beat these fighters because of their flaws. And the one who capitalizes on the flaws tonight and wins, well, they're going to be the ones considered flawless. So I've yet to see anybody really capitalize and beat one of these guys yet.
The last time we saw Morrison in this building, he was flawed. He fought Yuri Bowe, finally beat him in the 5th round, but he vows that he's a very different fighter now.
Well, with Bowe, you had a guy that was a southpaw in 300 fight, 3-time European champion. He's going to make anybody look bad for a few rounds, and that's what I chalk that bad performance up to.
And Ray Mercer, people seem to agree that he's not the hardest of punchers, but everybody seems to be in agreement that if there's one quality he has which could very well win this fight for him, it's his heart.
Right, and I feel the same way. He's a very tenacious fighter. He's a dedicated fighter, works hard. He says he's a soldier, and he says he's going to go in the trenches tonight, and that really could be the downfall of Tommy Morrison if he takes him deep into this fight in the trenches.
Okay, time now for our Goosen's Corner, and let's start with the challenger, Tommy Morrison.
Right. Tommy Morrison prepared very well for this fight. He had a long time to get into shape, 4 months basically, and what he's got to do is he's got to get off to a quick start, put all that conditioning to good use, keep his punches short. Mercer has a tendency to be wide with his punches. If he keeps them short inside those, he'll be very successful and use head movement. And he does have a good jab. Come in behind that jab with good head movement.
And here is Tommy Morrison, the 8th-ranked WBA heavyweight contender. His last loss to Ray Mercer in the Olympic trials when they were amateurs. He said, I do have boxing skills. Unfortunately, people haven't seen them. Morrison is billed as a distant relative of John Wayne, therefore the nickname the Duke. There are some descendants of John Wayne who say they don't know this guy. That's interesting.
I'm not going to argue with him about it, though. If he says so, I'm going to go right along with it. You're the Duke. You're the Duke. Yeah, Tommy, you're the Duke.
His introduction music is the theme to 2001. The reason for that is that's how his hero, Elvis, would enter nightclubs in Las Vegas. With 24 knockouts. Is he a legitimate heavyweight challenger or the latest in the line of great white hopes? That's one of the issues that people have been talking about in the career of Tommy Morrison. He had the starring role in Rocky V. Is he an actor or a fighter? He claims his conditioning is second to none, and that will spell the difference tonight against Ray Mercer. And many people seem to agree that he is in better shape. All right, let's check out Gooson's corner for the champion, Ray Mercer.
What a rugged individual Ray Mercer is. He's got to be even more rugged tonight, though, with Tommy Morrison to keep his championship belt. He cannot get backed up against Morrison. That's what Morrison wants to do to him. Don't waste punches. Don't get wild. Take your time and take Morrison down to the stretch if at all possible, unless he knocks him out early. But he's got to take him down to the stretch to really win this fight.
There he is. He said he hopes to bring respect to the WBO belt. A lot of people have criticized it. He said it's not the belt, it's the man wearing it. Said others have made the belt proud, such as Camacho and Michael Moore, and he wants to do the same.
That's right. There's 4 or 5 outstanding fighters that wear the WBO belt.
That fight against Damiani, he was losing. It was a 1-punch to the nose that broke Damiani's nose in the 9th round here in Atlantic City last January. But he was behind on all cards and did not look terrific in that fight. So this is his first defense of the WBO heavyweight title. Keep in mind, he's had a layoff of 279 days. It's the longest of his career. We're at the Atlantic City Convention Center. So it's the home state for Ray Mercer from New Jersey, the Olympic gold medalist in the heavyweight division. (17-0) with 12 knockouts. The crowd is definitely mixed. There is no home crowd advantage tonight for either man. And our tail of the tape for our main event, which the crowd is starting to get into. Mercer, 8 years older. You know, he was in the Army, started fighting late in his career, fairly even in height. Mercer a few pounds more, and Tommy Morrison with the 2-inch reach advantage. Our CompuBox statistics, Joe.
All right, punches per round. This is a 2-fight average, 35% landed by Mercer compared to 50%. Morrison and Mercer basically the same, throw basically the same amount of punches, but Morrison landing a few more for a higher connect percentage.
Not too much in the jab department here.
Well, there's a lot thrown by Mercer, but not too many landed. And of course, Mercer isn't a real strong jabber. He kind of paws with it to set up the right hand. On the other hand, Morrison really not as busy, but has an effective jab when he uses it.
And our rules for this WBO championship fight, a bit different from our previous fights tonight. 12 rounds, 10-point must system. There is no standing 8 count.
Again, the 3 knockdown rule is in effect. Cannot be saved by the bell in any round. That includes the 12th and final round. And either the doctor or the referee can stop the fight. So right now, let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the pre-fight introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, Top Rank Incorporated and the undisputed, undefeated king of beer, Budweiser, present championship boxing for your entertainment. This bout is approved by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board. Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazard Sr., Chairman Jerry Gormley, Board members at ringside Gary Shaw and Richard Harrison, Deputy Commissioners Lawrence Wallace and R. Yogi Hiltner. This bout is sanctioned by the World Boxing Organization. Championship Committee Chairman Ed Levine, WBO Supervisor at ringside Jose Torres, the former light heavyweight champion of the world. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Frank B. Doggett, attending physicians Dr. Dominic Coletta Jr. and Dr. Charles Wilson. The timekeeper is Roosevelt Gilbert. Counting for the knockdown seconds, alternate referee Joe Cortez. The scoring for this bout will be done on a 10-point must system, and the 3 judges are Gene Williams, Rick Bays, and Stuart Winston. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, the referee, working for the 75th time in a world title bout, Toney Perez. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Atlantic City's Convention Hall, by way of Donald J. Trump and the Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey, let's get ready to rumble! 12 rounds of boxing for the WBO World Heavyweight Championship. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with stars and stripes trim. His weight, 221 3/4 pounds. He comes from Kansas City. His professional record, undefeated, 28-0, 24 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenger, Tommy the Duke Morrison. And across the ring in the red corner, wearing the white trunks with red, gold, and black trim, weighing an even 225 pounds. Originally from Jacksonville, Florida, he now fights for the Triple Threat Gym in Newark, New Jersey. This 1988 Olympic gold medal champion is now undefeated as a professional with a record of 17-0, 12 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, the WBO World Heavyweight Champion, Merciless Ray Mercer.
Both fighters doing some pacing here.
Mercer, Morrison, you already got your instructions in the dressing room, all right? Give me a good, clean fight, and I will not bother neither one of you. 2 C's you must remember. Obey my commands, and most important, protect yourself at all times. Shake hands, and good luck to the both of you.
Both of them have a good sweat going.
Tommy Morrison goes over and puts his head down and prays for a moment with his assistant, Doug Drager. That's a tradition of his.
These two chomping at the bit to get at each other.
Morrison feels that Mercer has a bit of a soft belly, that that Morrison's conditioning is what will tell the tale. And here we go, round 1. It's scheduled for 12. Very few think it will last anywhere close to that. Morrison says he wants to crouch, give Mercer angles. Mercer immediately says that didn't hurt. Morrison feels that Mercer doesn't have very good balance. He says he can make Mercer look silly with the angles and the crouching. Stick and run for Morrison. He tries to throw the jab. And Morrison, the jab, the body, the uppercut. Mercer taking his time as Toney Perez separates them.
Well, right off the bat, Morrison's landed some decent body punches, and Mercer finally landed a punch of his own, a little left uppercut that seemed to bother Morrison a little bit. He tried retaliating with his own left uppercut, but missed. Both these guys look a little tight right now, a little anxious.
Morrison, the more active boxer in the opening moments of the fight. chopping uppercut from Mercer. Morrison bows down.
Well, Tony Perez shouldn't let, and I doubt...
Morrison, and he followed up with the left.
And he buzzed Mercer with that because Mercer's holding on to the back of his neck.
Morrison going after Mercer as the crowd erupts. Mercer trying to come back at him. Morrison landing the heavy punches. Final minute of the first round. Crowd yelling Duke. Tommy Morrison, at least in the first round thus far, showing he's for real. Crowd cheered, but the uppercut missed.
See, Tommy Morrison doing something that leads me to believe that he's a little nervous and over anxious right now. He's grabbing onto Mercer after he misses or lands a couple punches, trying to catch his breath. He's got to really settle into this fight, it looks like. Looks like Mercer's a little bit more relaxed, even though he's gotten the worst of it so far.
And Morrison landing again, and then a glancing, looping right hand.
3 real quick punches landed by Morrison.
First round to Morrison.
Dig into his body a little more, okay?
Rinse out, gang.
What that rinse, man?
Rinse out.
Push the body a little more. Now the jab, you're not using it now. Use the jab a little more. Use the jab a little more.
Let's take a look back. Here's Morrison landing that patented right hand to the body, right uppercut, then left hook, and that's really what buzzed Ray Mercer in that first round there. There's another look at it. To the body, right up the middle now, and then sets that head up, bingo, for the left hook. Hit him high up on the temple. If that was on the chin, that might have done a little bit more damage. Here's another look at it. Same thing. Right up the middle, pops the head up, bingo. And that's what you want to do. You want to slice that left hook across and try to catch him on the end of the chin. Overwhelming 43% of Morrison's landed compared to 26 for Mercer%.
See how Mercer responds to a first round that we believe was won by Tommy Morrison.
I'd say there's no doubt about that Morrison won that first round.
Morrison missing 3 times wildly.
That takes a lot out of your system, missing with big, hard punches like that. So take his time, wait until the opportunity is there for him to land a good short shot.
Crisp left hook from Morrison. Remember, everyone seems to feel the longer it goes, the more it favors Mercer. Morrison would come out stronger. This is not a big surprise here.
Well, there's Mercer holding behind the head, using the right uppercut, and Tony Perez really not saying anything about it, and that's an illegal tactic. Finally does.
Sure, the crowd saw it, and finally Perez did as well.
But Perez letting him get away with it again here, but let him get away with 3 uppercuts on the inside.
Morrison with the left hook.
Mercer breathing rather heavily right now and doing something he's not really noted for, and that's backing up in a fight. Looks like he's breathing a little, or bloodied in the mouth also already.
Well, his lower lip was split in the Burt Cooper fight, and perhaps it is again here. Looks to be. Minutes to go in the second round.
What might have done it was that right uppercut in the first round, really, that off the body shot than the right uppercut. That has a tendency really to make that mouthpiece bounce off your teeth and injure your gums or injure your lip.
All right, can I move? Can I move? Get him away. There you go.
Well, Mercer's really using some dirty tactics in there. He's using a forearm across the face.
Uppercut to Morrison. Crowd responding to that. Well, that's been the big punch, the uppercut.
Morrison just landed a short little right hand, too. Right now, he's really getting the better of Ray Mercer.
And a left hand from Morrison connects. Another good round for Tommy Morrison.
I doubt if you've seen the end of Ray Mercer, though. He's been in this type of battle before, and I'm sure he's going to stay in this fight.
Underneath, up the middle, straight up the middle, underneath, understand? Okay. Now, when you're outside, you gotta use your feints more. Feinting with the jab, then the right hand up hook. You're loading up on the right hand too much. Okay. You got to add the hook to it. Work the whole body, though. You're only working the head. Okay. You're not throwing no body shot. Okay. All right?
Well, look at this. Really, Morrison, you know, almost double the percentage of punches landed through round 2. Percy Richardson working real well on that cut on Mercer's lip.
And work your free hand.
We got to hurry him in the body. Stay corner, relax, and get it done.
Well, the wrap on the box is where they both lack defense. And thus far, really, Mercer's defense has been the one that's been suspect.
Right. Well, Morrison's is a lot more technical. He keeps his hands up better and moves his head left and right better. Mercer's pretty much a stationary target.
Mercer said after the Damiani fight he learned that he really had to learn some defense. He was tired of getting hit. Well, he hasn't exhibited it thus far here in the 3rd round. Little blood on the lower lip of Ray Mercer. Oh, another left hand.
Mercer jumped in from the outside with a right uppercut, and Morrison just countered with a quick left hook.
He shot the uppercut from Morrison. He continues to dominate.
Boy, Morrison is so accurate.
More blood on the lower lip, Joe. A body punch with the left. Morrison, the uppercut. Tommy Morrison all over Ray Mercer. Morrison delivering.
Mercer talking to him in the corner.
Mercer has never been down in his career. Neither is Morrison, for that matter.
Well, he is bleeding heavily, and the more that mouth bleeds, the more you swallow that blood, the more nauseous it can make you and really upset your stomach during the course of the fight. And he's got a long way to go, 12 rounds altogether.
Morrison thus far turning a lot of people into believers here, midway through the 3rd round.
Well, he looks as sharp as any heavyweight in the world right now.
Push him away, don't hold him, push him away.
It hurt him in a way that early in his career he was in Rocky V, so a lot of the skeptics said, well, sure, he's an actor, but can he fight? So he's had to overcome that acting role. And he's doing it with a vengeance here. The right hand. Well, the uppercut's really been a weapon.
No, that's his bread and butter punch. Right hand to the body, right uppercut. And it ceases to amaze me that Ray Mercer isn't trying to move out of the way of it.
But everybody said, look out for the left hook. Here comes that right uppercut.
Well, he's got power in both hands. He's exhibited that in many of his previous fights.
You're not going to believe, but that little roar of the crowd was the arrival of Donald Trump with Marla Maples. Yeah. Just a little
I know who I'd be
diversion here.
I know who I'd be roaring for.
Inside of 30 seconds remaining in the 3rd round.
Well, Mercer wasn't kidding when he said he really worked on boxing in training camp here, because he is moving backwards and boxing a little bit like I've never seen him before.
Oh, that was the best punch Mercer's thrown. Chopping right hand as the 3rd round comes to a close.
Well, just proving once again that there is no quit in Ray Mercer. Okay. There's Mercer taking that patented right hand to the body, right uppercut. Of course, that left hand following short. Bingo, that chopping right hand doesn't do anybody any justice. Really just
right and a left.
Pasting Mercer in the corner here.
Now this is right at the end of the round, Joe.
Right over the top.
Right there. And Mercer saw it. Morrison saw it coming.
Saw it. Tried to put his right hand up there to deflect it, but it did sneak in.
All right, Mike Marley of the New York Post. How have you scored it?
Well, I've got it a sweep for Morrison. What I'm most impressed by, his power is a given. But what I'm impressed by, except for 3 wild punches thrown at the start of round 2, is the precision. Tommy Morrison is extremely accurate with his bombs.
And I credit that to Tommy Vergetz, because Tommy Vergetz has really worked hard with Tommy Morrison on the mitts and the body bag, perfecting his technique.
No punches. No punches.
Total punches through rounds 1 through 3, 37 thrown by Mercer, 9 landed. 42 thrown, 25 landed for Morrison.
Mercer sneaks another right hand, and Mercer now comes on the attack with 2 right hands. And here comes Mercer to the delight of the crowd. It has been Morrison to this point. Now Mercer trying to turn it.
Okay, break.
Now he covers up from another Morrison assault in the corner.
Okay, break.
Oh, good left hand from Mercer and the right. And Mercer has Morrison wobbled. And Mercer hanging on with the left hand. The left hand from Mercer.
Same punch he caught him with in the round before. Mercer jumped in with the left right uppercut and got countered with a great left hook by Tommy Morrison. But Mercer is really coming on in this round, evening things up a little bit.
Morrison looking tired here in the 4th round with a minute to go. He kept emphasizing his outstanding conditioning. Well, we shall see if that was just talk or not. His mouth is wide open here.
He's breathing very hard.
And now the Mercer crowd comes to his support. And Mercer lands, and Morrison responds with the left hook. The right from Mercer. Tony Perez separates them inside of 30 seconds remaining in this 4th round. And Mercer showing bounce in his legs.
Oh, that's...
Final seconds of the 4th round. Mercer has been holding on.
Holding on, but coming on also. He's really getting himself back into this fight.
Well, Ray Mercer's round in the 4th. And Morrison breathing heavily over in his corner.
Getting away from the game plan. Get 1 punch shot. We're going to the head. We got to go low. Use the body. It means you have to change your levels. Relax, recover. Keep it slow. You got to change your levels. You got to follow up with your punches. Right? What you're trying to do is you're letting him throw first, and then you're covering while he's in too tight. You can't throw them.
Right. Now's the time to pick it up.
Spit it out. Spit it out.
Right to the jab. Jab.
There's
Mercer with the right.
Right over the top. He doubled it up on it, and of course just had Morrison covering up after that.
You heard Tommy Burgett tell Tommy Morrison that he was getting away from the game plan to start working the body more.
He wants him to go back, but he wants him to relax too. Like I said, he looked real anxious and uptight at the beginning of this fight, and that'll wear you out in itself, just that nervousness.
Mercer with 2 good right hands. And now Mercer on Morrison in the corner. And Mercer's all over him, and Morrison in trouble. And Morrison goes down for the first time in his career.
And that is it.
That's it.
It is it.
Over.
Ray Mercer has won it. He successfully defended his WBO heavyweight championship.
Woo.
Boy, what a flurry of punches Ray Mercer put together there. Tommy Morrison does not know what town he's in.
The 5th round for Ray Mercer, handing Tommy Morrison the first loss after 28 straight victories in his career.
Tommy Morrison's being told the fight is over. He's still telling him he wants to go on and fight, yet he doesn't realize the fight's over. That's how hard of punches he took. He really is in another world right now. It's going to take him a few minutes to recuperate.
Mayhem in the ring. Wait until all of Mercer's supporters came running in.
Oh, well, you know, at the beginning of this fight, it looked like Mercer was going to be the one ending up on the canvas, but you knew he wasn't going to quit. You knew he's been down this road before, and it came on beautifully.
Mike Marley, you had Tommy Morrison pitching the shutout through 3 rounds, and then Mercer just came on in the 4th and devastating there in the 5th.
Well, looking at the bigger picture, I don't think that Tommy Morrison is finished. He's only 22 years old. Obviously, this was too big a step for Morrison right now, but he did dominate the fight through the first 3 rounds, the 4th round, and great survival tactics by Ray Mercer. Got to give him credit. He stuck to the fight plan. You heard Hank Johnson send him out of the corner and said, now's the time to pick it up. He did an explosive finish, and you know, that's the way this fight had to end. I mean, started as a slugfest, and it ended with bombs away, Ray Mercer.
Well, let's take a look at it, Joe. All right, Joe's going to head up into the ring now. Mike Marley with us, and here comes Mercer on the attack, and right at this point, Morrison's out of it.
He was out on his feet, precisely, Glenn. He was out of it, groggy. I mean, he doesn't know what's hitting him at that point.
Well, those are damaging blows right there. He was out of it. 4, 5, 6. Wow. Morrison could have been seriously hurt there.
You're exactly right. Referee Toney Perez should have stepped in a little bit sooner.
Take another look, and you can count him. At this point, Morrison's out of it right here after that left hand. Now, from this point on, this is the damage. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And finally went down for the first time in his career. And Ray Mercer victorious.
And right now, Len, we got the doctor examining Tommy Morrison is on his stool. I think he's still out to lunch. Now he's up. He still looks groggy.
He absorbed some punishing blows, as you could see from those replays. Well, let's send you up to the ring to Michael Buffer for the official announcement.
Referee Joe Cortez steps in to stop the bout. Pardon me, referee Toney Perez stops it at 28 seconds of the 5th round. The winner by TKO victory, and still WBO World Heavyweight Champion, Merciless Ray Mercer.
So it has been a stunning night in the heavyweight division. First, the announcement that the Mike Tyson Evander Holyfield fight has been postponed because of cartilage damage in the ribs of Tyson. And then the 2 young heavyweights, both undefeated, and Ray Mercer gets the best of Tommy Morrison. And they're still checking out Tommy, and from those replays, Mike, you could really see why. Those were some damaging punches with Morrison defenseless.
As you pointed out, Len, that one left hook, which is about, I think, about the 3rd punch in that series. After that, Morrison didn't know if he was back in Kansas City, Oklahoma, California. He didn't know where he was.
Let's go up to the ring, and Joe Goosen. Joe, take it away.
All right, here I am with Ray Mercer. A beautiful first title defense. And Ray, let me ask you something. Was it your strategy to box a little bit and let Tommy Morrison shoot off a little steam before you came on like that?
That was a surprise, you know, for everybody. Showed I can move a little bit and still be effective. The guy he's just as strong as we thought. Nothing he did surprised us. I just got in my mind, my trainer was saying, just use the jab, just use the jab. And I could see him get a little tired because he kept leaving himself open.
Now, somebody told you, I don't know who it was in your corner, to turn it up and turn it on in that 5th round. Was that Hank? Hank, was it your feeling that he was ready to be taken out in that round, Tommy Morrison?
We felt that he was ready because we saw that he was getting tired. He done exactly right. We knew that he tends to get tired after the third round, and we're just going to box him, don't get hurt, utilize the jab. When I say we, I mean Tommy Park, Alden Merkerson, Jack Dale, Gene Overhill, everybody contributed to this win.
Ray, you got to, at this point now, with a few of the shots that you took in that first round, they were devastating shots, and you stood up to them. You got to have one of the best chins in the business. What's your secret?
It's like I told you yesterday or this morning. You go into battle, you either die or you live. And I'm living until I'm dead. You like that? That's a fact.
That's a good one. I like it every time you say it to me, Ray. Ray, let me ask you now. You just disposed of probably one of the best contenders in the heavyweight division, Tommy Morrison. Who are you setting your sights for now?
Before I answer that, if you don't mind, I'd like to say hello to my sister Lynn, my sister Valerie, Mona, and Angie, and my wife Connie, and my two kids Sierra, and Sean, and Tavares.
Leave anybody out?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
Everybody else is here.
Who you setting your sights for?
I don't know. It's up to my man.
Come on, you got to have somebody you really like to be gunning for right now, Ray. Be honest.
Foreman, Holyfield, or Tyson. Holmes is very much in the picture. I'd love to fight Holmes for his name and the money.
I'll accept that one. All right, Ray, congratulations again to all of you. And back to Len ringside.
Okay, Joe, I'm standing with former heavyweight champ Larry Holmes. Larry, you didn't hear what Ray Mercer said at the end, but he said, well, you're very much in the picture here. He likes you for your name and the money.
Well, you know, we've been talking about the winner of this fight, and now we just got to sit down with Mr. Aram and put it all on the table. You know, hey, I'm getting myself back in condition. I fought 4 fights, and I'm going to fight 2 more fights, and if it's a fight in February, this guy will see something he never seen in his life.
Larry, I've seen some of your recent fights. I'm not sure you want to tangle with Mercer just yet. He was pretty impressive.
Well, one of the things that I like to do, and I strived on it throughout my boxing career, is proving people wrong. And when someone say I can't do something, that only motivates me much more. And I feel good about myself.
What did you think about this fight as it was unfolding? Because Tommy Morrison certainly looked terrific for the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, that's the problem. He came out a little bit too hard, punching very good, but Mercer showed that he's able to take that punch. And you know, you can't fight 12 hard rounds like that. You got to know when to pick it up and know when to let it down. And Tommy didn't do that. He stayed right on top. And eventually, as I was telling the people that were sitting with me, he's going to get caught. And before that bell rang, he got hit with a right hand that hurt him. And then he went back in this corner. But that punch hurt him. Then it was all Ray Mercer the next round.
Did Mercer impress you, Larry?
He didn't impress me because his jabs are slow. His right hands are slow. But, you know, going into the later rounds, like he started picking up the speed a little bit, and it was all Ray Mercer then.
What was your reaction when you heard the news today about Mike Tyson being delayed his fight against Evander Holyfield because of the rib injury?
Well, you know, I don't never wish anybody bad luck, and, you know, I hope Mike Tyson is okay. I don't know. But, you know, that just opened the door for me. And, you know, I just got to be truthful. You know, I'm for Larry Holmes. You know what I mean? Mike Tyson is for Mike Tyson. Evander Holyfield for Evander Holyfield. I got to look out for Larry Holmes. And I'm getting myself ready, physically, mentally prepared for a fight in February so I can fight anybody. So if the Ray Mercer fight comes, fine. If the Holyfield fight comes, fine. George Foreman fight comes, fine. I'm getting ready.
So what is your timetable? Obviously, February is the first deal that you'd like to have.
February is the first fight that I was supposed to fight Ray Mercer now that he won. But again, nothing has on concrete. We also got an offer from Riddick Bowe. And, you know, everything is on the table. But my first fight is going to be November the 12th on USA. And whatever comes after that comes. I'm not going to slow, let no grass grow on my feet. As you know, I'm getting like you. I'm getting old. So I want to be able to get in there and win that championship once again to prove all my critics wrong that Larry Holmes is back and I can be heavyweight champion of the world. Just because you get to be 40 years old is not a death sentence, you know. It's just a thing that happens to everyone.
Have you been reading George Foreman's scripts? I mean, these are the exact lines that he uses. Can you come up with some original material?
I don't think George Foreman is using these scripts. If he have said them, that he might have said them. I can't say what he said, but no, I'm Larry Holmes, and that's been a lot of people's problem that I've been Larry Holmes. My record speaks for itself. You know, I don't really have to prove anything to anyone. 7.5 years as the heavyweight champion of the world.
do you know that when I was heavyweight champion of the world, on the other side of the championship, it was like 13 different champions, while I was just one single champion. So, you know, it just shows the credibility out there today. It's a lack of credibility. Fights, titles are still changing hands, fight after fight.
All right, Larry, thanks a lot. Good luck. And I think you and Mercer, that will be the next one. And
I hope so. Well, you know, we never know what's going to happen, but if the fight comes, I'm ready and willing to do it if time permits.
Okay, thank you, Larry.
Thank
Best
you.
of luck to you. Always a pleasure. So Larry Holmes continues his comeback, and as you heard, Ray Mercer, he's the man he wants, and knowing the way things go in the heavyweight division, that's the man he will probably get. I think Mike Barley's point should be reemphasized. This is not the end of Tommy Mercer's career by any means. He had a strong first 3 rounds, but tonight belonged to Ray Mercer. And after the first 3 rounds, that's perhaps a surprise in many respects. We'll take a look inside Tommy Morrison's dressing room here at the Atlantic City Convention Center, and they are continuing to work on Morrison. The ice pack's being applied to his eyes, his head. I mean, it's going to be hard to forget those replays there in the 5th round when he took shot after shot when he was virtually out on his feet. And it will officially go down as a knockout at 28 seconds of the 5th round. But he was out of it moments before. So Morrison suffers the first loss and first knockdown of his career. So he goes to 28-1, and Ray Mercer goes to 18-0 with 13 knockouts. And perhaps Mercer did add a little bit of luster to that WBO World Championship belt, because that was an impressive performance that he put on tonight in beating Tommy Morrison. And now, that's the story from ringside. It's been a momentous night, both in Las Vegas and here in Atlantic City. Now let's go back to our host, Cambrell Marshall.
Thank you very much, Lynn Berman. Once again, TVKO providing an exciting triple header full of action. Certainly the heavyweight championship, the WBO championship, something to watch. We began the evening with the junior flyweight champion Michael Carbajal in a non-title fight against Jesus Chong. And Mr. Carbajal, though he came away with a win, certainly did not go away undamaged. This is the 8th round action. Carbajal in white, Jesus Chong in the leopard shorts. And even though Carbajal was the winner of this fight, and he came up with a nice right cross to put Jesus Chong to the canvas at that point in time, none the worse for the wear. And Michael Carbajal to the hospital now to getting his left eye checked out, because he did suffer damage to his left eye. He does come away continuing undefeated with the unanimous decision over Jesus Chong. Smoking Burt Cooper, the next fight in a semi-main event against Joe Big Hoss Hip, and this also was a big slugfest. Mr. Hip coming in, and I call him Mr. Hip because anybody who is that size perhaps deserves to be called Mr. Hip. He's in the blue trunks. This was a TKO, 1 minute and 1 second in the 5th round. Smoking Burt Cooper having Joe up against the ropes, and the referee stepped in to stop that fight at 101 in that 5th round. So we've had a great night of boxing. We hope you've enjoyed it here on TVKO. Once again, we look forward to seeing you again next time around in November. But that's going to do it for us here. The WBO champion of the world continues to be Mercer's Ray Mercer. So for Lynn Berman and Joe Goosen, I'm Cambrell Marshall saying so long from Atlantic City.
Wearing purple, trimmed with white, and weighing in at 17 stone, 5 pounds, 1/4 ounce. His professional record, an excellent 54 victories, including 45 by knockout, with 5 losses and a world title. Ladies and gentlemen, from Grand Rapids, Michigan, here is the former IBF World Heavyweight Champion, Toney TNT Tucker. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white with red letters, he weighs 15 stone, 12 pounds, 3/4 ounces. His professional record, an outstanding 28 victories, 26 by knockout, 18 of those KOs in 4 rounds or less, and he only has 1 defeat. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the fighting pride of Norwich, England, the former WBO heavyweight champion of the world, Herbie.
Well, it's very different from the MGM Grand Garden in Vegas, where he fought Riddick Bowe the last time he fought for the world title. But this Norwich Sports Village couldn't generate any more atmosphere here.
Shake hands.
Head to head. And Tucker in purple. The same as Holyfield will fight tonight. Both intensely religious, good friends. But are both of them or either of them going to end up being champions? Important, Jim, for Hyde to impose himself early on.
Not quite impose himself. I'd say what he wants to try and do is get a couple of rounds in the bank without exerting himself. I mean, this fellow's 2 stones heavier. If he gets close, he's going to be wrestled, and a lot of steam is going to be dragged out of him. He has to get some rounds in the bag, gain his confidence. I mean, this really is a worrying time for Herbie Hyde. He knows what this guy's achieved. He knows what's up against him here. He's not under any false illusions, so he doesn't want to get involved, but he needs to win the early rounds. He can't reach the second half of the fight behind in points. He has to get a couple of rounds in the bank early. He's just standing off a little bit too much. He's actually out of range here. And he's just walked onto the left hook. See, Tucker, so experienced. You think Herbie Hyde's speed is going to be a big asset in the early rounds. But Tucker's experience can counter that speed. He can just be that little half pace, out of range, and make Hyde miss. So Hyde has to be careful.
Hyde looking anxious, but he always looks a little anxious, even on his greatest nights. His greatest, of course, when he won the title against Michael Bent at the Millwall New Den in '94. He looked anxious then.
See, already Tucker's commanding the middle of the ring, pushing Hyde back. I just wonder if Hyde has the power really to make an impression on this guy. That's the big problem. If Tucker is able to walk through Hyde's best punches, then he's got serious problems. Fairly searching first round so far. I mean, Tucker himself not prepared to take too many chances either. Nice little right hand from Herbie, followed up with another.
Excellent counter.
Well, the sharpness is there, that's good. He doesn't have to find his timing, the sharpness is there.
We always knew he had the talent. It's putting it on display at the right moments.
Another nice right hand counter from Hyde. Just got a little bit careless, caught square-footed. But he has the sharpness to counter here.
Well, he's looking better and better as this first round's progressed.
Nothing improves the confidence but landing a couple of right hands, and that's happened, thankfully. Well, a searching, quiet opening round. The only...
A big round for Hyde, certainly in the last minute where he seemed to be getting the measure.
Yeah,
Tucker.
It was like a searching opening round, but 4 decent punches were landed, and Hyde landed the 4 of them, and there goes one. And he followed that with another good right hand, so Hyde probably just nicked a round just on the strength of that.
Tucker's won 27 of his fights inside the first 3 rounds, including his last 2 fights. Both of them inside 3. Dave Dixon in 1, and then Tyrone Campbell went in 3. Both those in California.
Certainly Hyde far sharper than Tucker. Yep, he's letting the punches go. This is good stuff from Hyde. He can't set attacks up. he doesn't have the weight to back it up. So he's countering well. He's allowing Tucker to lead, and he's firing in 3 and 4 punches, and he's not allowing Tucker to punch back here, mauling him inside. Good tactics if we can keep this going.
Very warm inside here, and both fighters particularly high, pouring sweat early on. Good shots.
That shot actually looked as though it shook Tucker a little bit. Tucker really on the defensive here. Excellent start to this round from Hyde. Tucker just looking a little bit shaky on his legs here. What a shot this would be.
Hyde just looks too quick for him.
But where was Tucker's experience then? He should have been grabbing hold of Hyde. He was trying to fire back and getting nowhere. Herbie's gulping air already.
Here's the man who went the distance with Mike Tyson in his prime. Tyson in his prime, and so too was Tucker. And that with a broken right hand early on in that fight.
See, Hyde wants to show a little feint and just draw that jab. It's a slow jab Tucker has now. He's 38 years old. Hyde wants to feint, draw the jab, and then counter. That seems to be most of his success. Oh, lovely punch!
Sensational left hook. He's going to get up, but he looks desperate. Raul Caiz sends Hyde in. Can he finish it off?
Well, Simon, that's the second knockdown. The 3 knockdown rule is in force here. So 1 more knockdown, no matter how he achieves that, is all Herbie Hyde needs to be in the big league.
He's moments away from providing Britain with another world heavyweight champion.
Tucker is in serious trouble, and he's doing the wrong thing. The fight's over.
He's won it. That's the 3rd knockdown. He wouldn't get up from it anyway. Herbie Hyde is the WBO world heavyweight champion.
Well, Simon, we don't know what Tony Tucker had left because Herbie Hyde didn't give him a chance to show us. He looked like an old man just at the end up there. 3 knockdown rule. Even if it wasn't as close, you can see Tucker still on the canvas here. Hopefully everything is all right. I'm sure he is. I think it's just as a precaution of keeping him on the canvas. But tremendous. I would never have believed a quick win for Herbie Hyde. I thought maybe points with the last part of the fight, been really grueling. But look, I'm entitled to be delighted.
His little brother Alan, who means so much to him, alongside him. What a win. We wondered whether he'd be mature enough. He looked almost hyper before the fight, but he produced the performance when it mattered.
Yep, in the last half of the first round, he seemed to find his confidence. He realised Tucker's punches weren't getting to him, his were getting through. And then just a tremendous left hook to score the first knockdown. That was all he needed. He just rolled on from there.
And while this is going on, the good news is that Tucker is sitting down in the corner and he looks okay. Everything's relative, of course. Mentally, he'll be feeling the pits. But physically, I think he's going to be okay.
He looked particularly convincing in his last fight. I think he's got the potential there and he's going to get better. He didn't get hurt and he done the job, and he had Tucker on the floor twice, and he should really have stopped him. And there are times when he didn't look as convincing as he could have looked, but I really think that he's the better fighter, and he'll go on to prove that, I think. Yep. Bowe's got he's got the wrong body type, puts on a lot of weight, and that could affect him tonight.
But he would say to that, Riddick Bowe, listen, I'm the guy who's won this thing in the ring. I beat Evander Holyfield, and that was a great performance and a great fight.
No question about that. It was a superb performance against Holyfield. But as I say, you know, he'll have to prove that with time that he's the best man. Eventually they'll come together, and I think he'll prove that he's not as good as Lewis.
Well, first of all, he's got to get past Jesse, hasn't he? Jesse Ferguson, and he's just getting into the ring over there in Washington. And when we saw his dressing room, he looks a very, very confident guy. He's worked himself in terrific shape for this one. I mean, he was a sparring partner. He was going absolutely nowhere, and he had that victory. I mean, this, for Jesse Ferguson, he's earning $500,000, 10 times more than I think he's ever earned in his life. Barry, I mean, you reckon that this guy might just hang around a bit?
I think the guy could prove a very difficult fight for Riddick Bowe, depending on Bowe's tactics. If he goes out and takes a grip of the fight from the very start and is in control and is the boss, well, then he will dominate the fight and he could stop him even sort of midway. But if Ferguson gets into the fight, gets himself warmed up, he could prove a difficult task and could last, possibly even last a distance.
Well, they're all over there waiting, along with all of us, of course, here on ITV for the arrival of Riddick Bowe, now living there in Washington, and 1 or 2 last-minute dusting down arrangements for Jesse Ferguson there. And here comes Riddick Bowe, led out by Eddie Futch. So let's go live, of course, to the RFK in Washington and rejoin Jim Watt and Reg Guttridge.
Well, yes, come on now, pick up your ringside seat with us now. There's the big man himself, and they're billing this here simply as the World Heavyweight Championship. Well, all the disputes can go on, who is and who isn't with he and Lennox Lewis. 17 stone, 6 pounds, 244, which is a whole stone heavier than when he won the championship in that great fight with Evander Holyfield in Las Vegas last November. But then when he boxed Mike Dokes, well, we all know how long that lasted, 2 minutes 19 seconds at Madison Square Garden. He was only just a pound lighter. So this is a bit of a growing lad, Riddick Bowe, at 25. Seemed a long walk, didn't it, for Jesse Ferguson as he came in there surrounded by his acolytes, and they've all got the skull and crossbones on their jackets. This man is he's a real calm character. He's been saying to people, well, there's no way this fellow's going to beat me, it's just how much of an opposition he's going to be. As he walks on now to this RFK Stadium, magnificent stadium there. They've just seen him now, you saw him long before that. And there's the WBA belt. And the IBF one as well, but there's some dispute about whether they want to recognise it. But anyway, they're calling it the World Heavyweight Championship. And as the Americans consider, I think, he is more than Lennox Lewis, because he did win in the ring from the man, Evander Holyfield, who was the undisputed champion. Kind of nerves that these fellas feel coming down like that, Jim. He looks as though he couldn't care less, doesn't it, Riddick Bowe?
Yeah, I don't think nerves going to be a problem here. I think he realises it shouldn't prove to be too difficult a job. But we're asking not who's going to win the fight, but how much resistance is Jesse Ferguson going to manage to put up. Hopefully, I'm thinking maybe 4 or 5 rounds, and then Bowe just be too big and too strong and too young for him. Michael Dokes didn't really want to put up a fight. I didn't get the impression, just showed up for some money. I think Jesse Ferguson wants to go out here with pride, so hopefully he'll manage to put up a good bit of resistance and give us a show. But I don't think we can expect to give him any chance whatsoever.
So while he gets in the ring and you get a look at his manager, he looks as though he's coming in the ring with a shroud there, Rock Hume. And there's one of the great trainers of our time, Eddie Futch, a gentleman and knows the business backwards. And he thinks Riddick Bowe is going to be exceptional champion. And he's handled the best, including the great Joe Frazier, who's here tonight. 17 stone, 6 pounds, Ferguson 16 stone. But he's 12 pounds lighter than his last fight when he beat Ray Mercer, Jesse Ferguson. And that was how he justified getting this one, because it was all lined up for Mercer, a former gold medalist, to fight Riddick Bowe. And he upset the apple cart. Then they keep throwing the name in, of course, of Buster Douglas, the 100-1 outsider practically, when he fought Mike Tyson in Japan and called, well, I think probably the upset of the century in a way. So they're saying, well, if he can do it, why can't I? And Ferguson actually has a decision over Buster Douglas, not really relevant, back in '85 over 10 rounds. So he's not been a mug in that sense. He's always been in with the tough fighters. He's weighed anything from 15 stone to 16 stone 12, Ferguson. They used to call him gut heavy at the start. So we do have the 3 knockdown rule in effect here, by the way. No 3 knockdown rule, I should say. I've forgotten that. It's the WBO like that one in particular. Standing 8 count there. Now this is the novelty of this one. 3 ladies picked to be the judges. First time in history. And the first heavyweight championship of the world since the great Joe Louis fought Buddy
Ladies and
Bear.
gentlemen,
here.
welcome to the featured bout of the evening, brought to you by Spencer Promotions Incorporated.
So there's
and
Michael
the DC
Buffer.
Armory Board in association with Caesar's World. This bout is sanctioned by the Washington, D.C. Boxing Commission, Chairman Jeffrey Gildenhorn, Commissioner Dr. Arnold McKnight, Deputy Commissioner Gilbert Ware, and it is sanctioned by the World Boxing Association, President Gilberto Mendoza, Supervisor in attendance Maurice Sleep, the physicians in attendance at ringside Dr. Edward Mosley, Dr. Willie Blair, and Dr. Donald Shell. The timekeeper is Floyd Lumpkin, counting for the knockdown seconds Andre Davis. The 3 judges assigned at ringside to score this bout on a 10-point must system will be Sheila Harmon Martin, Patricia Jarman, and Gene Williams. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action working for the 40th time in a world title bout, referee Larry Hazard. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the capital city of the United States of America, Washington, District of Columbia, let's get ready to rumble! 12 rounds of boxing for the heavyweight championship of the world. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trunks trimmed in white. After training at the House of Pain Gym in Newark, New Jersey, he comes in at a hard and ready weight of 224 pounds. His hometown, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. His professional record, 19 victories against 9 defeats. And his left hook has earned him 13 KOs. He's ranked number 12 in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cinderella Challenger, Jesse Boogeyman.
So the Cinderella Challenger, they're calling this fellow. A real underdog, if ever there's been one.
And across the ring, his opponent in the red corner, wearing white trunks with red trim. He weighs in tonight at 244 pounds. He comes into the ring as an adopted son of the D.C. area by way of the main streets of Brooklyn, New York. He's a 1988 Olympic silver medalist with a professional record of 33-0, 28 knockouts. 18 of his KOs came by the second round, and 12 went down in the very first round. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the undefeated heavyweight champion of the world,
So very much the local boy, although he's a Brooklyner by birth. And this is Bowe there, and quite rightly giving him the applause, otherwise she'd be in trouble.
Okay, gentlemen, I've already gone over the rules with you. Let me just remind you.
Larry Hazard.
Clean fight, and you would obey my commands at all times. You have any questions at this time? Okay, shake hands now, take your corners, good luck to you both.
Nobody's ever had questions at this time. It's not a question of whether he's going to win or not, surely, Riddick Bowe, but it's how that matters. I agree with Jim Watt, this fellow's liable, well, anybody's liable to give him a tougher fight than Mike Dokes did, and he's got himself into decent shape here. He's well past the sparring partner. I mean, he proved that when he beat Ray Mercer, which everybody thought Mercer was a good thing to lick him. So let's find out now if this fellow's going to get down to work early. And there's Rock Newman now, as I said, almost carrying a shroud into the ring with him, his manager, former radio commentator and disc jockey. Larry Hazard, he's Commissioner of New Jersey. Well, there's these two giants there now. It's about 20 minutes to midnight here in Washington. And a bit nippy too. So the nickname Boogie Man there on Jesse Ferguson. Temerity to start hitting back Ferguson. That's a good start anyway.
Well, the fact that Ferguson has done so much sparring during his career is that he knows how to survive. He'll have learned a lot of tricks. So when the time comes to make things awkward, hopefully he'll be able to do that.
I think you've got to look there at the size of both men there, and in particular Riddick Bowe. I mean, he's really massive.
Yeah, and makes good use of a good solid jab. I always feel a good tall heavyweight with a good jab, very difficult man to beat. I always feel the jab still the best punch in the book.
Well, Joe Louis, Larry Holmes, Muhammad Ali, they were great jabbers.
Ferguson taking chances, he's staying up close, but I think he has to stay up close. If he backs off, he's going to be eating that jab for the rest of the night.
So what we're going to get here, of course, all the time is the comparison between Bowe and Lennox Lewis. Remembering that Lennox Lewis did stop him in 2 rounds in the Olympics in Seoul. But I think, obviously, Lewis knows himself that this fellow's a lot better now than he was as an amateur. Oh, the left hook there nearly stood him on his head. These punches are really going in. He's not larking about, Riddick Bowe. There's no such thing as carrying.
Ferguson's going to have to back off, get his head back together again. A couple of good shots he took there.
He'll need to survive, Jim, as you were saying, if this keeps up. Very accurate punching by Bowe.
Yeah, and it's the way he's just punching through the defence. He's not opening up Ferguson's defence. He's just punching right through it. A lot of power is showing. Things not looking so hot for Ferguson. The difference in power is much bigger than expected.
Yeah, I was going to say, oh dear, he hit him on the way down there. He's not going to get up from that. He might have just lasted a bit longer than Mike Coates, but that's about all. And Larry Hazard now is counting over him, but even if he gets up, his legs have been totally betrayed him. Yes, they have. Is he going to let him go on, Hazard? No.
The bell's wrong, Reg.
Yeah, he should have. Jeremy should have counted him out there. He was not in a position to defend himself there.
Reg, I've heard a few stupid questions in my day, but how are you feeling, Jesse? Actually said, how are you feeling, Jesse?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, he went over like a big Jesse there, didn't he? Jimmy's not even sitting down. Does he think the fight's over?
Bad corner work. That's bad corner. They can't even get the stool into the ring.
They can't get the stool in. What a mess.
This is terrible stuff.
Come on, Jesse. Jesse, how you feel, man?
But he's fortunate in that it caught him right at the end of the round, or should we say unfortunate, but the difference in power and strength is really awesome. Look at the shots here. That was the one. That was the left hook. Knocked him over. He took one just as he landed. But the difference in power and strength, Reg, 2 rounds we're going to see if he comes back out again. He's got himself back together, still badly stunned in the corner, but just the difference between them, so big, so strong, Riddick Bowe.
Well, I never thought this fellow capable of getting up from this, as you're watching now, to come out for the second round. I know Larry Harrod wanted to give him every chance, but he should have counted him out, there's no question about that. He's not going to lark about now, Riddick Bowe.
Over there, stay there.
I mean, he knows what sort of opposition he is now. He's better off lying there. He's actually stopped it now without counting him out. Just a total formality. Short, sharp, merciless, and complete. He's an awesome fellow, Jim, taking into account the strength or lack of it, in a sense, of the opposition with Ferguson. Nobody expected him to beat Bowe, but we wondered how Bowe would react and whether he would open up early. He looked awesome, didn't he?
I mean, it's not a great achievement as we knew before the fight started, but the way he just punched right through Ferguson's defences, I mean, he really has tremendous power. Just punched right through, didn't care what was coming back towards him, just punched right through and finished the job in perfect fashion. What he did was perfectly executed, but certainly we've got to see him against better opposition.
Yeah, there it is again now.
See, Ferguson doesn't have anything to offer. Tried his heart out. You couldn't ask any more from Ferguson. To his limitations, he did the best he could, just in the wrong league. And as we felt, he shouldn't even be here. I think he's lost 4 out of his last 6 fights. So what is he doing in here tonight?
Yeah, exactly. See, the point is, Jim, but he actually manages to hit people on their way down, if not almost down there. He's so quick for a big man like that, Riddick Bowe, isn't he?
Well, it's nice to see that Ferguson's not badly damaged. I think the finishing punches actually were catching him on the shoulders and the back of the head. So thankfully no serious injury, but we don't like it. We thought it was a mismatch. It proved to be a mismatch, Reg. They're just
exactly.
on different planets.
Well, he permitted himself a brief smile there, I think, for a few cameras. And Rock Newman was leaning over, berating, I think, the New York press.
At 17 seconds of round number 2, the winner by knockout victory. His record now 34-0, 29 knockouts. Still the undefeated
34 then on the turn, 29 knockouts now.
Riddick, Big Daddy Bowe.
Big Daddy Bowe, the nickname there. Well, where do we go from here with this fella now? They've got to get this fight with Lennox Lewis on, there's no question about that, but I think you'll find that Lewis has got one or two other ideas. Yep. In fact, just alongside me now, Frank Maloney. I won't ask you how that went because you knew how that was going, Frank, didn't you? I wanted to ask you now, the latest news on Lennox Lewis. Is he going to fight Tommy Morrison, or is he eventually going to get this fella, Riddick Bowe?
Well, today we struck a deal that if Tommy Morrison is successful against George Foreman, we would fight Tommy Morrison on October the 15th.
Oh, well, that's nice to have something definite there. That's a good start, and what a good fight that would be. But how about the one with Bowe? Is that now in the pipeline? Is that what you're here for in Washington?
Well, I'm hearing everything that Rock Newman's been saying the last couple of days, but as far as I know, no offer's been made directly to myself, and that's what we're waiting to hear from Rock Newman.
So maybe you can straighten that out tomorrow if you can, but you're still going to go ahead with the Morrison fight, assuming he gets past George Foreman, who incidentally is the betting favourite on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on Foreman, but today George Foreman's brothers also said that they would like to be considered to fight Lennox Lewis as well, so...
Yeah, so we're going over now to the ring. Thanks very much, Frank Maloney.
Made a big issue about the weight. Hey, listen, when you put your mind to something, like I said, if you feel comfortable, it doesn't matter if you come in at 250. If you're in shape, that's all that matters.
Now, obviously, you come away from this with a lot of money. What do you get out of a fight against Jesse Ferguson as an athlete?
Hell if I know, you tell me. Well, I get a lot of great exposure.
All right, we want to take a look at some of the action here, and particularly at the first round knockdown. Would you describe it to us when we can get it up? Right now, Riddick.
Well, at this point, I'm trying to set Jesse up for the hook. Like I said, earlier I will be testing his uppercut, and I will be testing mine. As you can tell, I threw it a lot of times. That left hook was lethal. I've been working with that, in the gym and what have you. Jesse is a rough fella. He's never been knocked out like this before, with the exception of when he fought Mike Tyson. And, I got to take my hat off to Jesse. He stepped up to the challenge. But again, I told him I'm no Ray Mercer. He said he would, he beat the gold medalist, but he would have had no trouble beating the silver medalist. Big difference. If you don't believe me, ask.
This is the end, Riddick. Describe it to him.
2 words. Oops, there it is. You know what I'm saying? Well, 3 words. Again, like I said, I was focused. I was determined to show everybody, I'm the right man with the championships. Lennox Lewis is a bogus champion, and this is how you're supposed to take care of a regular journeyman. If this was Tony Tucker, the same thing would have happened to him.
All right, you're putting down Lennox Lewis,
no,
but
I'm not putting down Lennox Lewis. I'm just letting you know that I'm the man.
Okay, are you going to fight Evander Holyfield next? You have a rematch clause. Is that what's going to be next up before you go to Lewis?
Well, like I said, Larry, anybody who wants to step out there and get a taste of the Big Daddy, here I am. Rock and work the iron and deal out with Evander Holyfield. I wouldn't mind at all. Again, I think a guy like Evander Holyfield will always bring the best out in me. He takes a great punch, and we can expect him to be around for quite some time, but I think in the end I would knock him out.
All right, Rock, just momentarily, what is your timetable to finally go against Lennox Lewis, which is the fight everyone wants to see?
Larry, we made a legitimate offer last week to Lennox Lewis for $12 million. He and his people turned it down, I think, because they don't believe they can win the fight. I want to talk to his people this weekend while they're here in Washington to see what it takes to make the fight. Eddie Futch wants Riddick Bowe to fight Lennox Lewis. Riddick wants it, and I want it. We want to try to make it.
Do you have an obligation to fight Holyfield next?
Evander Holyfield, there was a rematch clause, and there is some issue about that rematch clause, and I will be talking to Duva about it. On the horizon also is Tommy Morrison if he has a win over George Foreman. So the heavyweight picture is healthy, it's exciting, and we're going to be very busy this upcoming week.
Thank you.
Larry Merchant asking all the questions there. Healthy, exciting, and pretty complicated as well. Barry, what did you make of Riddick Bowe tonight? The man, as he called himself.
Well, I thought he was impressive, and it didn't go long enough for us to determine really how much pressure he can. I thought he looked very impressive. Jesse Ferguson didn't really put up much resistance. He stood right in front of him. You don't stand in front of a guy that's that heavy and that punches that hard. He's a good combination puncher. Should have moved around Ferguson, but he can't do that. So it was fairly predictable. But I thought he looked good, no question about that.
And he was.
Hey, boxing is about you fight everybody. If you claim you the best, you gotta fight the best. You know what I'm saying? You don't duck and you don't pick and you don't choose. Hey, you get your butt kicked, you get your butt kicked.
The name of the projects I grew up in is Patterson Projects, and is located on 142nd Street and 3rd Avenue in the Bronx. If you went on Willis and Brook Avenue, where the Bachelors and the Savage Skulls and all of them hung out at, you was in danger zone. If you got caught out there, you was gone. This is my brother Frankie. He was 33 years old. He died of cancer. And this is my brother Alfred. He was 35 and he died of cancer. So these two guys was my mentor. And my sister, these two guys passed away. My sister and me, these are all my strength right here. And this is the reason why I won't be defeated for nobody.
This is Victory Baptist Church that I attend to on Sundays services, you know, to keep my mind and my strength together and, you know, keep peace and harmony with me.
Jesus, He's the light, oh yes, He is. Tell Him that Jesus.
Well, see, God is using me, and it's not for them to say, hey, he's not that much holier than I am. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't know how my soul is being used.
Oh yes, listen to this. If I walk the way that He wants me to walk, He'll show up in me. He'll show up.
Everywhere I go, He goes. Even in the ring. 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 I don't like him. I don't like him. I ain't gonna like him until I break his neck.
Even though I got my spiritual here, my other side comes out of me.
I want James Toney to know. I send that message because I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. It should be Toney versus Barkley because I'm the champ. You know, he don't have the title. He's coming up to fight me for my title. That's why it should be that way.
I worked extra hard for this one though, because this is somebody that I want to finish. I don't even want to hear about James Toney no more after I do this. But all the things that my mother have been praying for me and my brothers and all of us, and God kept His hands on me, and I weathered the storm. God forbid if I ever pass away, you know, I want to be remembered, you know, hey, this guy was a great guy, you know what I'm saying? This guy was a true champion, you know, you'll never find another guy like Iran Barkley.
Yeah.
If you're a real boxing fan, you've come to the right place. Ringside at the Indoor Pavilion at Caesar's Palace for the battle between Iran Barkley and James Toney, a couple of guys who love to mix it up. This should be a fight with tremendous entertainment value. For more, let's go back to HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant.
A pretty fair middleweight named Sugar Ray Robinson once said, "I'm in a hurtin' business." So here we are in a fight that figures to be a hurtin' fight. Although it makes us warm and fuzzy to know that Iran Barkley does have a spiritual side, and that James Toney has just had a brand new baby daughter. What they're here for as middleweights, and what we're here for, is the promise that they will do business tonight fiercely. And that expectation has brought to mind, at least my twisted mind, a fight that used to be told about in story and song. The original Jack Dempsey, not the heavyweight champion Jack Dempsey, Back in the 19th century, he was a recognized middleweight champion, and he once fought a challenger named Johnny Regan on a beach in Long Island. And Regan came to their fight wearing shoes with spikes on them and proceeded to slash Dempsey's legs repeatedly during the fight. And then the tide rolled in over their ankles, so they all had to get into boats and go find a drier place to continue the fight. And in the 5th round, finally, the champion, Dempsey, did prevail. Our middleweights tonight only have 12 rounds to go to the finish, and that's about all they really need. Here's one of them, James Toney.
Is James Toney geared up for Iran Barkley? All I can say is, if you've seen him in the gym and you've watched him prepare, he is the most ready he's ever been. He's going to knock this boy out.
Well, if James Lights Out Toney does knock out Iran Barkley, he not only becomes the new IBF super middleweight champion, he may also silence critics who have begun to question his power.
Like a days ago, not in control, no, I'll be reading all that. The reason why I do that is because I don't kiss their ass. They can wear what they want. They don't. I'm still undefeated, 34-2.
Toney's shocking upset of Michael Nunn not only made him IBF middleweight champ, but won him accolades as the fighter of the year. But several of his fights since then have won him only criticism. Wanting to prove himself a worthy champion, James was prepared to fight the toughest challenges. Against #1 contender Reggie Johnson, Toney was down for the first time in his career, but squeaked back to win a split decision. Then James Toney was pitted against a tough but aging Mike McCallum. Their first meeting, a battle, earned Toney a controversial draw. Their rematch, a victory for James, left fans still unimpressed. His squaring off against Dave Tiberi produced his most controversial fight to date, while his bout with Glenn Wolfe again left the public wondering. There's no doubt about James Toney's potential, but in the eyes of the skeptics, 1992 was not a convincing year.
Obviously, fans are looking for one thing, and he may be giving something else. But as long as he's comfortable with his performances and he continues winning, I don't think that he can fight for the critics. He has to fight for himself and get in the ring to win. I think that the knockouts will come now that he's at a more comfortable weight.
Some believe Toney's frequent fight schedule was too draining for him. That, coupled with the task of meeting the 160-pound weight limit, probably his biggest battle to date, may well have worn down a once impressive fighter.
I was having trouble making the weight, you know. I was telling everybody, I said, telling Jackie, and I can't make the weight, it's hard, you know. And she was like, you can make it, you can do this, blase, blase. So I just said, the hell with it, I'm not fighting 160 no more, I don't care what nobody's saying.
James hopes moving up to 168 pounds will give him the power he has lacked. Power he'll surely need to take on a tough brawler like Iran Barkley.
Well, he's going to have some problems. I think he has the ability to deal with these problems. Perhaps it would take a fighter like Barkley to bring the best out of James.
It's like this, Iran Barkley's tailor-made for me. He's going to be there, he's going to try to throw punches, he's going to try to take my head off, I'm definitely going to take his off.
He wants to prove the point that he can beat Barkley.
A streetwise kid, known for his uncontrollable temper outside the ring, James Toney is under a certain pressure to prove to himself and to his critics that he can stay focused and win big inside the ring as well.
James only gets out of control normally when he's in training for a fight. After a fight, he's just cuddly and adorable and great fun. But I think when he's training and focusing, he puts all of his energies into that. And he has very little temper for anything else, so anything will take him off.
In addition to the pressures he already feels, there is also the pressure of knowing he's about to become a father. And although it's rare when you see a moody James Toney smile, this also offers another ongoing distraction.
You know, I'm real excited, brother. You know, I think I rub the belly every night. Come on out of there, hurry up. You know, so I can see you and just go about my business.
Getting back to the business at hand is exactly what Toney expects to do, fighting his toughest opponent to date. Moving up in weight class, James Toney becomes the challenger and will be judged closely off this fight. This time, the public expects to find out just how much heart James Toney really has. And just to update that narrative, Toney's daughter, Jasmine Nicole, his first child, was born 1 week ago tonight at 6:02 p.m. Michigan time. So now, For the first time since he beat Michael Nunn to take the middleweight title, James Toney, as the challenger, enters the ring first.
And that graphic, eighth championship fight in 21 months is amazing. You have to go back more than 50 years to find champions who were more active. George, your feeling about whether that's good for a young champion or not good for a young champion?
I think it's very good, because what happens to young fighters, they get out there and sometimes forget where they are. You get them in the ring all the time, they never lose concentration, they never fit of the 12 rounds, and they stay out of trouble.
Toney and his manager, Jackie Callan, are the subject of a made-for-television movie, The Lady and the Champ, presently being developed and produced by TriStar Television in Hollywood.
The one knock on Toney, and there you see he is undefeated with 2 draws, is people say he doesn't fight not often enough, but more in the fights, that he's a 1-minute fighter fighting 1 minute every round. And some people suspect that all the great things he's done in the ring were that one punch that knocked out Michael Nunn. That's awfully harsh criticism on a kid who keeps winning.
But he's generated a lot of that harsh criticism by failing to win decisively. Close shaves, the story of James Toney's championship fights. The win over McCallum was a majority decision. One of the 3 judges called it a draw. Many felt that it should have been scored more closely. The Tiberi win was a disputed split decision that occasioned a Senate subcommittee investigation of boxing. In the draw with McCallum, he had to win the last 2 rounds on 2 judges' cards to pull that one out. In the win against Johnson, he was knocked down for the first time in his career, and Johnson's people hotly disputed the split decision. And in the win against Nunn, he knocked Nunn out in the 11th, while behind on all 3 scorecards after 10.
But he may be one of those fighters who fights to the level of his competition.
Well, we'll find out tonight, because the level of his opposition tonight is a guy who usually rises to the occasion in big fights. Iran Barkley, trained by the man you see there, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, has had some low moments in his boxing career, but in fights like this, when he's been showcased against the Thomas Hearnses, against Roberto Duran, even though he lost that fight, he fought a great and spirited battle. When he had a chance to win a title back against Aaron Van Horn, on those occasions he's come up big, and a lot of people suspect that mentally Barkley will be focused again tonight.
Keep C1. There's a very odd situation here tonight, Jim, regarding the odds. Toney opened as a slight favorite, went up to almost 3-1, indicating a lot of support. Now the odds are going back. What's odd about this is I can't find anybody among the so-called experts who is picking Toney. They're all picking Barkley.
The Bronx Blade, Barkley, has his supporters among boxing writers and broadcasters, because so many times we have seen him come up big at the big moment. However, George Foreman, he supposedly had tremendous difficulty making weight here, was well over the weight limit yesterday morning, had to spend time in the gym and running, according to some stories. We don't know that for sure, and that could damage him tonight if that's the case.
That's right. He could be weak mentally and physically, thinking he better get an early knockout and get exploited by a clever Toney because of it.
Clever's the right word. Toney has the boxing skills to do that. There's the record for Iran Barkley: 30 wins, 7 losses, 18 knockouts over the course of the past 7 or 8 years. Most of his fights have been against relatively big names for big circumstances, and there is some bad blood being exhibited already in the ring, where the Barkley and Toney people came together before the opening introductions. All right, let's take a look at the tail of the tape real fast. First we'll take a look at tail of the tape. Iran Barkley against James Toney. And keep in mind, as you look at these numbers, the rumors, and I characterize them as rumors, that Barkley had a great deal of difficulty making weight. He showed up late for the weigh-in, said that his apartment here in Las Vegas had been broken into. He's got a 3-inch height advantage, but again, Toney stands up relatively straight in the ring. Barkley is the one who crouches.
A point has to be made about the weight. Toney is a big middleweight. Barkley is really a light heavyweight. He is very, very strong at this weight.
Punch stat numbers, Larry.
And here a look at some of the punch stat numbers to get an idea of how active these fighters are, and you can see what Barkley's fight plan is: to come out throwing a lot of leather and never stop. And the jab is primarily an afterthought, but both of them can jab effectively when they're moved to.
Rules of the bout with Harold Letterman. Harold?
Iran Barkley and James Toney will fight tonight using the rules of the International Boxing Federation. 12 rounds. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. You cannot be saved by the bell in any round. Only the referee can stop the fight. And in case of an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 6 rounds have been completed. Before that, it's a technical draw. Jim.
All right, Harold, right now, let's go up to our ring announcer, Michael Buck, for a pre-fight introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated, in association with the undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, presents the featured bout of the evening. This bout is sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission and the International Boxing Federation. The officials for the state of Nevada: Chairman, Dr. Elias Ghanem. Commissioners, Nat Carasali, Bruce Lane, Luther Mack, and Dr. James Nave. Chief Inspector, Mark Ratner. IBF Supervisor at ringside, Al Goodman. Physicians in attendance, Dr. Flip Omansky, Dr. James Wishgame, and Dr. Robert Bowe. The timekeeper, Al Bisick. Counting for the knockdown seconds, Jane Broadfoot. The 3 judges assigned at ringside, scoring the bout on a 10-point must system, will be Chuck Giampa, Jerry Roth, and Mike Liana. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, working in a world championship bout for the 98th time, referee Richard Steele. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the site where legends are made, Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada, let's get ready to rumble! 12 rounds of boxing for the IBF Super Middleweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with gold trim, and weighing in at an even 167 pounds. Fighting out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, he brings a professional record, undefeated 33-0, 2 draws, 22 by KO. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the challenger, the IBF Middleweight Champion of the World, James Lights Out Bowe! And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks with red trim, and weighing an even 168 pounds. His professional record, 30 victories, 18 KOs, 7 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, from the streets of the South Bronx in New York City, presenting the 3-time world champion and current IBF Super Middleweight Champion of the World, Iran, the Blade, Barkley.
Listen to the crowd, man.
Okay, I spoke to both of your fighters in the dressing room. I'm cautioning you now, obey my commands at all times. Shake hands and good luck.
Jim, I see this fight as an athlete. Toney, who was a high school quarterback, against a warrior, Barkley, in what may just turn out to be a warrior's game. We'll see whether Toney can maintain his poise in the face of what is expected to be a fierce pass rush.
I think the most important man tonight is Richard Steele. They couldn't have picked a stronger referee.
You like Richard Steele?
For this fight, take somebody strong and willing.
Barkley comes out with an apparent urge to overwhelm Toney from the beginning, and Toney catches him inside with counter lefts and rights. Barkley trying to go to the body, Toney coming right up the middle, and James Toney is giving better than he's getting.
Toney is getting in good uppercuts right now, left uppercuts. But he shouldn't throw too many of them the first round.
Well, already you've seen Toney's superior technicianship. Iran came in winging wide, as he loves to do, and Toney stepped right up the middle to take advantage.
Toney should keep this as skillful as he can. Barkley is not a skillful fighter, he's a puncher. Why wait in and play that game?
Yeah, but now we're into stage 2. Toney, who's often accused of not fighting the full minutes, the full 3 minutes of every round, begins to stand against the ropes and relax and allow Barkley to wail away at it.
And Barkley has been caught with some effective shots that in the body that could have some telling points as the fight goes along.
Barkley will keep going to the body. He's not the kind of guy who forgets to do it. Toney scores with an uppercut inside. But the longer James stands still on the ropes, the more he plays Barkley's game.
I think if he stands on the rope and not try to push this guy, he can be a lot more effective than trying to push him off. Just hit him because he's not quick. He's only powerful. Good body punch, a good left hook to the side, and Barkley is starting to show a little blood.
That's right. There's blood under Iran's left eye. Barkley has a history as a bleeder, and right now, Toney is whacking away with tremendous effect in the middle of the ring. And Toney just walks away and rests for a second, and Iran Barkley comes storming back at him.
He walked away because he said earlier, you're going to see some blood quick. He has seen blood. Now he's happy.
Couldn't ask for a more entertaining first 2 minutes of the fight. It was everything the experts expected it to be.
For the first time in Toney's career, about fighting only a few minutes every round should be right for him this time. He shouldn't exalt himself.
Toney looks very relaxed and very confident early on in his first bout against a really high-skilled, accomplished 168-pound fighter. There's a good right uppercut inside that brings the crowd alive.
Barkley has been hit before by some of the best punchers in the world. He's gotten up, so you don't get carried away. Once you hit him, you just keep it set up in that fashion.
Iran Barkley is the only man on the planet who has beaten Tommy Hearns twice. Nobody else can claim that.
Early on to put a lot of hurt on Barkley, because if Barkley is still there in the second half of the fight, he's going to come on with his strength.
He said earlier he was going to hit this guy in the side, and Barkley is starting to land punches around the side. But it seems that Toney's left jab is the best thing he's got tonight.
Well, you already saw the punch stat numbers that indicated a great first round for James Toney. And beyond those numbers, he doubled Barkley in power shots, 33-17.
I think Toney is going to have to settle in and realize I can outbox this guy. It's real easy. Jab him and stop worrying about taking him out. If he makes that decision, it can be an easy fight for him. But if he doesn't, he's going to get rocked and rolled tonight.
And incidentally, the blood was from Barkley's nose, not from above his eye.
And I don't think Toney liked that. Got a little overconfident because he thought the blood was coming up.
Good chopping left-hand counter inside by Toney. He has great counter-punching ability, and against a guy like Barkley, that will afford him a lot of opportunities. Oh, right hand on the shoulder of Toney seemed to stun him for a second. Both fighters landing to the body.
Come on, work it, get out, work it.
It's going to take 2 or 3 rounds before Toney realized I'd better respect this big man's power.
Barkley just missing with the right cross. It skimmed across the side of Toney's head.
When you're 160 pounds, those right hands that you turn don't hurt that much. When you're up at 68, those right hands numb your legs.
Good uppercut inside by Toney. You heard Bill Miller, Toney's trainer, telling him that Barkley was a sucker for an uppercut, and Toney lands another one in there.
Once you get out.
But those uppercuts got to be followed by something around the side, some body punches, chest and to the side, because this guy is regularly about 200 pounds. He's accustomed to taking big shots like that.
Once you get out.
Some bigger guys.
Step back.
Toney landing with the jab. Barkley just steps past it to come inside. Toney's quicker hands still a factor, particularly every time they step away from the ropes and into the middle of the ring. Barkley landing a left hook to the top of Toney's head.
Toney is really getting good with his left jab at this point. He's standing right on the ball of his feet, jabbing and not jumping backwards. When you see a fighter do that, that means he's confident.
At best, it appeared to hit Toney on the shoulder, but it also appeared to stun him for a second. And Barkley, George, is a guy who wants to hit you anywhere he can make contact.
Right. Now, Toney has sold all the whoop tickets about how he's going to knock him out. Now he should be contented with just winning every round. Let the knockout come by itself. Don't try to create it. Barkley should try and make this fight as wild as he can and stop standing back with his left jab. Just get in there and wade in there.
It was the left shoulder where Toney was hit, but he's using the left hand liberally. So it does not appear that there was any injury which should affect him in the bout. Toney again scoring a right uppercut inside. Barkley continues to bang away to the liver and kidneys, trying to slow Toney down to create some opportunities later on in the fight.
I think Barkley coming in with his mean demeanor and how tough he is. Now he should settle down, but he's going to think the crowd is going to say, you can't do it, you're scared. So he puts himself into a corner that he shouldn't be in at this point. With his longer reach, he should have been ahead on points.
Another uppercut lands inside. Most effective punch of the bout for Toney by a wide margin. Toney walking away. Barkley steps in and whacks with the left hook. And we got a fairly steady flow of blood now coming out of both of Iran Barkley's nostrils.
Come on, let's work. Toney is not content because he wanted him to be busted in the eyes at this point. Good right hand by Barkley.
Good left hook inside by Toney. Right hand by Toney. Right hand by Barkley. They are trading shots.
Those exchanges do not help Toney.
There's a solid right cross by Toney, but it didn't seem to stun Iran Barkley. And one thing we know about Barkley, he can take a punch.
Very smart. Toney landed his shots and moved out of the way.
And the mouthpiece is knocked completely out of Barkley's mouth by the fabulous right cross from Toney. And here comes Iran stepping in without his mouthpiece, showing his courage and his resiliency.
Toney is starting to get real accurate. He's throwing that right hand right down like threading the needle.
And now Richard Steele will give Barkley a chance to replace the mouthpiece.
Let's go, let's go! Iran Barkley does take a punch, as you say, Jim, but it's not a virtue to take this many hard, clean punches.
And you know something? Iran Barkley's eyesight is real bad at this point. He doesn't even know where Toney is unless he's bumping bodies with him.
And let's remember, he once had a detached retina in his left eye.
He's had 2 detached retina surgeries in the left eye. There's a solid left hook by Toney. Barkley comes back with a left to the body.
If
more Barkley stuff to the body. I'm sorry, George.
If Toney would only back away, he can see that this guy can't see him.
You know, Larry, you talk about the vision thing, and Barkley went to the wrong corner at the end of round 1. They're both trimmed in black and red all the way down.
All right? Okay, hands up. Okay, let's take a look at that clean right hand, and there you saw the mouthpiece flying outside of the ring. Once more, with feeling. Measuring his opponent, very cool inside, very impressive, Toney. He is fighting up and surpassing the level of his opponent so far.
You know you only got a minute to rest. Why would they stuff his nose with all that stuff? Can he take a second win? Can he rest himself? No. That's not a smart idea.
Well, they must be worried about the blood flow. Maybe that nose is broken, George, and that's why it's bleeding so profusely.
You work with Q-tips, even the bigger Q-tips, but you don't stick that much stuff up when the guy's supposed to be resting in the corner.
Good point. Another right cross after a right uppercut. Toney with target practice now inside against Barkley's head. Look at the fast hands. This is brilliant stuff from James Toney.
If Toney would step around to the other side of the ring, he can see the vision problem that Barkley is having and wouldn't let him get close, because he's got to get close to feel where he is. He's punching by feel now. He just doesn't see what he's doing. Low blow, Toney.
Well, this has been Iran's method for years. Lean in, shoulder the opponent, get your body on him, and then pound away at close quarters.
And he's throwing a lot of punches to Toney's hip, below the belt in that fashion. This is not what Toney needs to be taking at this point.
Chopping right hand by Barkley missed. Toney spins away and shows off his hand speed and combinations again. James Toney piling up points early against Iran Barkley.
Barkley has been in this amount of trouble before, so you just can't just get overconfident with him. He can still land that telling blow, have you on the floor.
Yeah, when he knocked out Tommy Hearns several years back, it was a fight in which he had been thoroughly dominated all along and was bleeding badly. But he can launch one.
There you go, there you go.
Now Toney is starting to land shots to the side now. It's going to help this young fighter as the fight goes on.
Taking a page out of Barkley's book, saying to himself, well, if we're going to stand here shoulder to shoulder, I may as well do the same thing Iran does and whack away at the liver.
Barkley is starting to push him into the corners now.
No low blow warnings from Richard Steele. Barkley has begun to land several to the hip area of James Toney.
That's right.
Chopping rights inside by Toney. 3 of them landed. And Richard Steele wants Barkley to come to his corner so that his glove can be retaped.
This helps Toney because he's taking a well-earned breather here. He should be sucking in as much oxygen as he can right now, not just stand there.
But Toney has shown so far that his claim that he could be more active at 168 than he was at 160 is true.
Toney's connecting nearly half of his punches in this round, 18 of 43 so far. Barkley didn't get a chance to dab at the blood streaming from his nose while he got that glove rewrapped. Toney with the jab. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of them. Barkley jabs back. Toney knocks the mouthpiece out again, this time with a short left hook. Well, that's Iran. He loves to rumble. At the time at which, or at the age, I should say, at which Toney was playing high school football, Iran was in a life and death street gang in the Bronx named the Black Spades.
Pull it back.
The thing about being a fighter, you got no gang. You got to do it all by yourself.
Toney with another splendid right in there.
Toney is real effective when Barkley throws that hook. He's getting underneath it. Takes a lot of, and it discourages a fighter when you go underneath his left hook.
Barkley chases Toney to land one relatively light left hook. And starts punching away to the hip joint again.
That can really hurt a young fighter because he'll let you hit him not knowing what you're doing to him.
Step back, step back. Come on, let's go.
Well, elaborate on that, George, because to the average guy, it might not look as though those punches mean anything.
Yeah, you go to your corner and you can barely sit down on your stool because your hip is sore and you don't know what's going on.
Come on, let's work.
Because you're not hurt on top, you're not suspicious. This is a job for a referee now.
Probably too many referees let guys get away with those punches to the
Richard
hip.
Steele is looking up high and he hasn't glanced down yet.
He's looking for
headbutts. He said once, keep him up. He's only said it once.
Yeah, he's watching for headbutts, which is another frequent occurrence in Barkley's fights because of his style.
He's admonished once to keep him up, but that's not enough. He should pull this guy up and say, we're not going to have it.
Double right inside by Toney. Bang, bang. Saw the blood fly from Barkley's head.
The thing about Toney, he weighed in at 168, but by dinner time that day, he was back up to 173. You can believe it. You don't want a guy that big leaning on you.
Let's work.
Well, I'm sure both of them weighed 168 by the time they came in here tonight.
No, I mean,
yeah, I know
Barkley was up. Barkley must have went back up to 173 or 175 because you can't have that big man leaning on you. The same left hook that dropped Tommy Hearns, Barkley is starting to find range for.
Your hands are free work.
There you go.
Now you're telling me, George, that despite the punch-by-punch domination we've seen early from James Toney, Barkley is getting enough here and there to maybe set something up for later on.
That's right. Those body punches is helping him. He's not skillful. He's not known to win fights on points anyway. So why not just keep hitting on the punch, catch this guy leaning, and grab him.
Toney walks away after once again landing a flurry inside. Blood streaming from Barkley's nose, and Iran, the warrior, continues to chase James to the ropes.
It's the old saying, you don't pull a switchblade on an elephant. Sometimes those good shots may look like they hurt, but this big guy's not hurt.
When we saw Barkley spit blood there, you got the impression that he's probably swallowing a good deal of it during the rounds. How much will that bother him?
I do believe, but this guy's accustomed to being in this kind of trouble. He probably gets it in the gym, so he's not out of tune with it. He doesn't mind right now.
Does he notice it?
Oh, he doesn't even care. His corner told him when Toney rolls to go underneath. He keeps going on top.
Toney with magnificent hand speed. You won't often see that kind of flurry at 168 pounds. Although now, of course, Michael Nunn has a 168-pound championship.
Come on, let's work.
Yes, but, you know, somebody with Barkley's mentality thinks, I've been hit all those punches, now I got him where I want him.
Yep.
That's just the way a fighter like Barkley thinks.
He freely acknowledged yesterday that he would never expect to win a fight like this on points. He's here to try to score a knockout. So losing rounds doesn't much bother Iran Barkley.
As far as I'm concerned, this guy, Toney, should sit around and coast for a round now. Regroup, suck up his energy, and go for the 7th, go for the 8th, 9th, and 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Well, at what point, if you're in Toney's corner, do you tell your man to try to stay away from some of these inside confrontations and get a little bit farther away?
I think that Toney is real skillful. He knows the coast. I don't think his corner is even aware of the need to coach with such a big guy like this. The corner's never had him in with a guy this big in a fight of this stature. But you got to coach that sometimes. You're not going to get a knockout like that. Win the fight.
Barkley sticking to his game plan with dogged determination. Keeps his head on Toney's shoulder, leans his body in on him.
Watch his shoulder.
And George, you've referred several times as Toney lands 2 more uppercuts in there and stuns Iran Barkley. Stuns Barkley with a minute to go in round 6.
But this is not the kind of fight he wanted the 6th round. This is the round he should have been coasting. Not to his advantage to mix it up with him now.
And Barkley coming back, and I was about to say, you've referred several times to Iran leaning on James. It's going to help to tire Toney out, right?
That's right. Barkley has got to be winning somewhere near 175 pounds. That big head on your chest like that, don't push him. It's going to wear you out.
And as he leans on James, he's pushing his legs down on the canvas all the time.
So he's following somebody's plan.
There's a left hook that landed for Barkley. Larry?
Well, I think punches wear you out also, George. And most of the good ones are being landed by Toney.
They just don't wear the big guys out like they do the smaller guys. Because sometimes you're hitting them good, and they just accustomed to being hit harder.
Toney finished the round with a left to the neck and 2 solid rights to Barkley's chin. And Iran Barkley looks a little weary midway through this World Championship bout.
You don't like that? You got to keep doubling the hook out, man. You got to keep doubling the hook. Make them fight, baby. Hands up and make them fight. All right, baby. That's all you got to do. Keep them hands up and just go right to them, Jack. Make them fight. Double that left hook up. Just double it up. He's turning that way. You got to double it up. Let him reach out, Eddie. Let's go. Here we go, baby. Open up.
Watch Toney in close.
Take your time.
He's been very, very clever. He's just 24 years old. Didn't start really boxing until he was out of high school. And he has a really good athlete's feel for what's going on in the ring. There's some kind of sensitivity to the movements of his opponent and what he can do that is the mark of what I would call a natural athlete.
Good point, Larry. Almost magical the way he can bob under Barkley's head, slide to the side, and then come up with the uppercut at just the right moment. Well, in all of these punch-stat numbers that you're going to see in the closing rounds, you are looking at a statistical mismatch.
Don't hold it.
We're looking at a mismatch in the fight right now. Although it could turn around, what we know of what has happened, it is a mismatch.
It's been all James Toney. But Barkley is hoping that in the war of attrition, things will begin to go his way later on.
Starting to agree with Larry now. Punches take things out of you too.
Remember I said at the start of the fight that the second half of the fight could be Barkley's unless Toney did some serious damage. And Barkley does look like he's slowing up a little bit here.
Toney for the first time jab to the body. And that's hard to see a young fella do when the fight gets in beyond 6th round.
You can see that Barkley's left eye is badly swollen. His vision probably compromised, but some would say, well, that vision was already badly compromised.
That Barkley's got one big left arm. That thing turns into a hook and catch you sleeping. You're going to wake up in your dressing room.
Punch and get out. Punch and get out.
Punch and get out, says Steele. He still hasn't warned Barkley for the low blows, and they are still coming with some frequency.
Barkley's from that school. It's not how you play the game, it's winning it counts.
Work inside and get out. Pull your arms back.
Sonny Liston said that.
That would be the old school, right?
Keep him up, keep him up.
Sonny, of course, was in some of the most distinguished schools of hard knocks, George. Back before he was your idol.
Walks away and turns his head like nothing has happened.
And then rains that right hand over the top. Over and under. Brilliant display of technique by James Toney.
Barkley's left eye is completely starting to shut up now. He's better go on out there and look for a knockout because that jab can really just shut him down.
Well, for 7 rounds, it has unquestionably been James Toney's most impressive performance. And all the talk about how different he'd be at 168 pounds seems to be fulfilled with his performance here tonight.
Punch and get out. Punch and get out.
Now for the first time, Barkley is hanging on and holding. He's not throwing shots.
Now, Iran Barkley has slowed down, but he's still taking those uppercuts inside.
Out of this picture yet.
Okay, we'll watch that, George. 7 rounds down, 5 rounds to go. Toney landed 72% of his punches in round number 7.
Barkley is starting now when he goes forward to hold a little bit because those uppercuts are starting to hurt. He should have been doing that earlier. When you bump, hold, make sure the guy doesn't hit you.
It's getting harder and harder to figure, George, what Barkley would do to turn it around. He's not even throwing the left hook with that much frequency now.
Time for the corner. Come on. Come on, you guys. Come on.
Steele trying to hurry things up as he brings Barkley to the corner. And once again, Iran must have his glove taped.
All the way around.
Yesterday, we saw
up and down,
James Toney in his room playing a computer boxing game with a friend. He was losing that game, and that's the only thing he's lost in boxing this weekend so far.
Do we begin to sneak a peek ahead to what it would be like to have James Toney in the ring with Roy Jones at 168 pounds?
Not yet. We've got a few more rounds to go.
George, hang in there.
If only we could tell Barkley to just hang in there. Barkley's starting to jab now. This should have been a weapon for him early on.
Oh, what a brilliant display of accurate power punching by James Toney.
What Toney is doing, you seldom see from a young fighter. This is something you see good veterans like a late Muhammad Ali do, just jab, right hand.
And he's an awfully experienced young fighter, George. 8 championship fights in the last 21 months. And he is showing all the benefits of the lessons he's learned against tough opponents.
He's got an opponent just fits him right down to the teeth.
Keep him up, keep him up. Don't hold him.
Barkley goes back to whacking away at the liver while clinching James Toney. Toney takes one of his periodic rests.
The thing Barkley didn't look at with Toney that he did maybe with Tony Hearns. Tony's got big legs. He doesn't have real skinny legs. So these guys, you just can't hit them with one shot and drop them like you would Tony Hearns.
And when he fought Tommy Hearns, Hearns wasn't 24 years old, as James Toney is.
Sometimes the 24 years old can work a lot against you, too.
Come on, let's go. Not tonight.
Not tonight?
No, not tonight, George. Tonight it looks real good on James Toney. And the 32 don't look as good on Barkley. Left hooks from Toney. Barkley is stunned again. And Iran just can't defend himself against that crisp hand speed and punching inside.
The referee is being real generous not to give him a standing 8 count, but there is no standing 8 count tonight.
Plus the generosity. Another great round for Toney. Another session of target practice with spectacular punch stat statistics, no doubt yet to come.
Doctor! Go and learn to do this school. Take it into school. All right, baby. Okay, I need more pressure.
Talk to me too,
I'm all right, Doc. I can see them. We can see you, Doc. We can see you, Doc. I need more pressure. Talk to me, baby. Okay, baby. Okay, I need more pressure. Give me all you got, Iran. Give me all you got.
Let me see the eye one more.
Let him see the eye. Let him see the eye.
Able to see all right out of it?
No.
You're not seeing double out of it?
No. I need more. I need a lot of pressure this round, Iran. Jump on him. Make him fight, baby. Make him fight. Give me all you got. Give me all you got. Come on, champ. I need more pressure. No more water on that head. I'm going in the eye now. You can sit down and punch, Iran. All right, let's go, baby. Let's show him what we made of. Take a drink. Take a drink. Let's go.
Through this point in the fight, I think it's safe to say that James Toney has won the super middleweight championship. It is now his to lose and Barkley's to win back.
Not only that, the doctors are really taking notice to that left eye. They don't like what they see, the ringside doctors. And he's giving the referee some instructions not to let him take too much abuse on that left eye.
Don't let the graphic fool you. This is the 9th round, not the 8th. And you heard Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Barkley's trainer, asking for what would amount to one last stand.
Come on, don't hold him. Punch and get out of there. Great. Step back, step back.
Barkley's got a lot of heart. A little more heart than anything else at this point.
Maybe more heart than was good for him at the beginning of the evening.
There's that same left hook that dropped Tony Hearns. It comes out every now and then, and a good right hand by Barkley.
Iran sticking his chin in, taking punishment, and trying to find a chance to land a haymaker.
This is what you've got to do at this point. You just can't play it safe. You're going to have to take some risk.
And now Toney is able to jab with impunity because Barkley can't even see it coming.
Punch to get out. Punch to get out.
So James, if he wants to, can just flick the jab, pile up points, and continue to annoy Iran as Iran tries to mount the straightforward, headlong rushes that he needs to create pressure.
Good left jab. That's the kind of left jab I was talking about a middleweight needs. Toney's got an excellent left jab. Nobody knew about that.
Barkley flashed the left hook for a second but missed it. Toney continues to whack away at close range.
Toney has got a lot more power at this weight.
Well, this is going to greatly improve James Toney's reputation among ringside experts because tonight he has been everything that he always claimed he could be but seemed to fall short of being.
That same left hook just misses.
Yeah, he's missed it twice here.
This round.
Yeah, that's what I meant in this round. He's missed it a bunch on
all
the
it takes is one left hook, and believe me, we can start talking a different language. Iran Barkley.
I know, George. I know you're trying to protect my reputation.
Punch to get out of there. Punch to get out.
10 seconds of round number 9. Iran Barkley's blood dripping onto James Toney's back.
He's out on his feet at this point.
Yeah, he's in trouble. Toney continues target practice through 9 rounds.
I said at the start, Jim, I said at the start of this fight that Toney was favored, but that all the experts I talked to liked Barkley. I must have been talking to the wrong people.
The fight is over. The doctors has decided he can take no more.
Stop the fight is over. The fight is over.
Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, once a very good light heavyweight champion, stopped the fight. He didn't want to see Iran Barkley take any more punishment.
Good for Eddie.
Good fight. Good fight. Good fight.
Really good for Eddie. A compassionate decision by Barkley's trainer.
Turned out to be a good friend.
Iran Barkley made $1 million tonight, probably his largest payday. I'm glad of it. We'll go on fighting if we know him. But it's questionable whether he can compete against good young fighters again with that style.
That's all. He's a great champion. That's all. That's all. And much success. You go do what you got to do. There you go.
In terms of real championship level contention, Iran Barkley may well have met the end of the road tonight. And you saw there the respectful hug between Toney and the man who in effect stopped the bout, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, the former Eddie Gregory, trainer to Iran Barkley. Everybody comes up classy in the end.
I couldn't go out like that.
Well, there's nobody who has more respect for a fighter than his opponent when he's been in that kind
Take your time, relax.
of a tough foxhole warfare, George.
This guy went out and got in the best shape he could possibly get in. And we got to compliment some trainer somewhere.
The difference tonight, superior hand speed, superior counter-punching, superior boxing technique by James Toney.
Think about it.
That's what happened.
We'll take a look at the devastating final punch stat numbers, which will help to under-caption what you saw in the ring, a total mismatch. James Toney landing more than twice as many punches, in fact, almost 3 times as many punches as Iran Barkley, tripling Barkley's connect percentage, and wow, when you see a guy land 65% of his punches over the course of the bout, you have seen him with what turned out to be a tactically easy assignment. Right now, let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Richard Steele, acting on the advice of chief physician at ringside, Dr. Flip Omansky, calls a halt to the bout at the end of the 9th round. The winner by TKO victory, and now the undefeated IBF super middleweight champion of the world, James Lights Out Toney. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for one of the great warriors in the ring today, the 3-time champion of the Bronx and New York City, Iran Barkley.
What a week for James Toney. 1 week ago on Saturday, his first child, daughter Jasmine Nicole, was born in Michigan. Now, after the biggest victory of his career, he'll get a chance to go home and see her. And let's go to, isn't that nice? And now let's go up to Larry Merchant, brand new father and brand new 168-pound world champ, James Toney.
Baby, but they can't stop guys like us. You know it, baby.
That's right.
All right.
We legends, baby. True warriors. Something that Michael Nunn, Terry Noyes don't know about.
All right, James.
Nigel Van too.
James, what was your conversation at the end of the fight with Iran Barkley?
He's a great warrior, you know. I just gave him his props. He's been around for a long time. You know, he fought the best and beat some of the best fighters out there. Now it's my time. I came in and did what I had to do. Hey, I showed him.
From the first seconds or minutes of the
belt, baby. I want everybody home to see these belts. Everybody back in Ann Arbor. See this? Hard work, baby. I told everybody back at home going to do it. I told everybody out there. Michael Nunn, Nigel Benn, bring your ass. I'm ready for y'all.
Right, baby.
I ain't skipping.
James, you won the fight.
Won the fight. I'm the best. This fight is dedicated to my daughter Jasmine. I wasn't here last week to see her birth, but I got her back for this week. It's dedicated to her, my girlfriend Sarah, everybody back in Ann Arbor, and Jimmy Griggs. Hey man, my heart with your family.
Hey, James, was this an easy fight for you or a tough fight for you?
I was relaxed. I had fun in it. It was an easy fight. I had no problem.
You knew from the get-go that you were quicker and you could land combinations of it.
When Bob Bam called Jackie a couple weeks ago, we had the fight sign, I knew right then I was going to win the fight.
What was the only question? Was it your conditioning? Was it being able to withstand his charges?
Only person who can question my condition is you. And my power is you. You're the wise guy saying, well, my condition is this, my condition is that. Now, what's up with that?
What do you think now?
Well, it's not what I think. We said on the air, everybody said on the air that James proved his point, that at 168 pounds, you could be more active than you were at the lighter weight.
Definitely. That's all I want to hear you say that. I want to hear you say it. That's all. Go ahead and say it.
When you watch the tape, James, you'll hear it said again on numerous occasions.
There you go. I'm the best. And I'll be, baby, come on tomorrow. Jasmine, I love you.
Were you ever hurt? Did you ever think you had hurt him?
I hurt him every time I punched him. But you know, man's strong. He got a heart of a warrior. He's stuck in there to the very end.
What would you like to do next? Are you ever going to fight at 160 again?
No. Next, well, I got to listen with Bob M. I want to fight soon. Stay busy. Let my hands go down a little bit. Fight within this couple months. Stay busy.
Are you willing to fight Roy Jones at 168 pounds?
Don't matter. Whatever.
Is that a yes? You want to fight?
I don't take nobody.
Did you see his fight earlier against Glenn Wolf?
What fight? The man came in quick, got his money, that's it. But right now, is it a point right now where Roy Jones got to go out and prove himself?
Do you think this victory will finally get you your just due from skeptics?
Oh, definitely. Everybody out the ringside saw what I did to Iran. I took him apart, bit by bit, piece by piece. I did what I had to do.
Thank you very much, James. You fought an outstanding fight.
George Foreman, baby.
Back to you, Jim.
Jim Lavely.
Thank you, Larry. Now, George, there's the definition of a chip on the shoulder. He has a big night. He won the fight convincingly, and he's still pissed off.
Well, he's enjoying himself. What did Larry call it? The hormonal mix-up?
That's right. A testosterone festival there tonight. Yeah.
It was a good fight. Barkley didn't lose this fight because he was old. He was outboxed, outpunched, and he lost fair and square.
So what you're saying is even 10 years ago, Iran, at his very, very best, wouldn't have had the guns to go against a guy like Toney
That kind
tonight.
of style with those kind of legs, he could have whipped this guy in any era, any
All right,
day.
let's see what Barkley does to Larry Merchant.
All right, Iran, what surprised you about the opponent tonight?
Well, you know, first, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for giving me the strength and the victory again. But, you know, what surprised me the most was, you know, he boxed a little, and he was willing to hang, you know. But I gave it all I had, you know, and I'm not ashamed of nothing.
Were you surprised that he was able to stay in there with you and fight longer than you expected him to be able to fight and just not be intimidated by someone as strong as you?
Well, you see, the main thing was he was breathing hard as I was hitting to the body. If I could have just stayed in a little more and kept dealing what I'm dealing, I had him. I was slowing him down. You know, I kept seeing him breathing hard. I said the next round I can have him.
Were you unhappy that your trainer, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, decided that you had enough punishment for the night?
No, I wasn't sad. You know, Eddie had my best interest. You know, what can I say? Toney, you know, he won tonight. Eddie said that, hey, we can come back another day and get him. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, don't worry about it, baby. I said, Eddie, I want to go. He said, nah, man. To my best of my ability, you know, hey, you my man. So you got to stop, man. You gave it all you had. And you can do it, you know?
Well, if we know you will be back.
Well, I'm just going to take a rest.
Back to you guys at ringside.
Well, all right, you can't say enough about Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. You made a whale of a point before the fight when you said that all of Barkley's bravado and the mean-spiritedness may have been more a show than reality.
That's right. It reminded me of the days when I went through my first graveyard visit in the nighttime. I'm not scared, nor was I scared. So sometimes it's not needed for a good veteran to boast at all. Just go out there and do it.
So it was natural coming from Toney, but not from Barkley in this
More
instance.
natural from Toney, but the veterans, they don't have to do that.
All right. The man who stopped the fight, in effect, at the suggestion of Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, was Nevada Commission Dr. Flip Omansky, and he's with Larry Merchant right now.
All right, Doctor, were you going to stop this fight if the corner of the champion hadn't decided to stop it first?
I talked to Eddie after the
prior round and told him that it was going to be stopped so that it wouldn't be a problem. He knew it was something that we talked about during the round. Iran was at the point where he wasn't protecting himself, was taking too many head blows. The eye never completely closed, but he was no longer protecting himself. He'd taken enough.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hermansky. All right, Jim.
All right, so we look ahead down the road with two fighters tonight having greatly polished their credentials for future action. Jones at 160, Toney up at 168. Now, Toney mentioned some of his potential opponents at 168. Michael Nunn, a man he's already knocked out as a middleweight back at 160. Nunn certainly has the technical.
Is the main event of the evening, a 10 rounds international heavyweight contest of 3 minutes each round between and introducing to you from Magnolia, North Carolina, James Bonecrusher Smith. And in this corner from Wandsworth, Frank Bowe. Smith scaled 16 stone 3 pounds, 227 pounds. Bruno scaled 15 stone 12 and a half pounds, 222 and a half pounds. Your referee Harry Gibbs and your timekeeper Winston Hughes. Thank you.
James Smith at 6'4", 16 stone and 3 pounds, 227 pounds, and Frank Bruno at 6'3". Marv Albert with the fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco. The referee, Harry Gibbs, and he is the sole arbiter, scores the fight. There are no judges involved, scoring on the 10-point must system, but the winner of a round usually gets a half a point more than the loser. And as we saw during our NBC Sports Ringside program, there is no mandatory 8 count. Referee in total command. These are two enormous heavyweights.
Remember, the Bonecrusher likes to come out early. He has a devastating punch. Bruno gets hit early.
And as we mentioned earlier, a crossroads test for both fighters because the quality of the opposition on both has to be questioned, although both have impressive records.
Overwhelming favorite, Bruno here. Anything he does is going to draw a roar from this crowd. But remember, the Bonecrusher has a sneaky right hand. Already there's a surprise here in that Bruno's people had said he's not going to go out and lead. He's just going to cover up or while away the first round.
And the chant for Bruno.
Bruno's been letting a lazy left hand go out there. That spells trouble with the kind of speed that the Bonecrusher has with his right hand.
Past the halfway mark. Opening round scheduled for 10. Bruno's last fight, 1-round knockout. Stopped Juan Figueroa of Argentina. 67 seconds in. The rap on Bruno is he has been force-fed easy opponents. Making for that record of 20-0, all 20 by knockout. Here's a right hand by Bruno that caught Smith.
Smith shook it off and came back with a hard right of his own. You get the feeling these two guys are really wound up tight. They haven't loosened up yet.
And again, Bruno getting in. And here's Smith right back with a combination. Uppercut by Bruno.
The crowd is heating up. It's only the first round, and you can feel that tension in the air.
And that will wrap it for the first round. And here's Frank Bruno coming out for round two, meeting up with James Bonecrusher Smith. Capacity crowd, better than 10,000 at the Wembley Arena in Wembley, England. Bruno has that muscle-bound impression, very rigid, very tight-looking.
He is that, but then again, he's got that knockout record, so he must be able to turn it loose sometime. He does look particularly tight tonight. The Bonecrusher looks very kind of limber and relaxed. He has sort of a whip to his punches.
British boxing fans disappointed earlier as they saw British middleweight champion Mark Taylor stopped in the 7th round, knocked down 5 times in all, upset by a guy considered to be a journeyman in Buster Drayton out of Philadelphia.
Those are those nights that happen in boxing. One never knows what happens on the way to the title. Right now, Bruno's left has been dominating the first and second round. Even though it's a lazy left, it's been hitting the Bonecrusher.
And the crowd again chanting for Bruno.
His left is dominating the Bonecrusher. I can't believe he hasn't crossed over.
And again, the crowd roaring with every contact that Bruno was able to make. Uppercut, but it just grazed Smith.
It's a great idea, but it didn't land. Just grazed him. Bonecrusher's getting a little desperate. That left hand in his face, even though it's a lazy left, is beginning to bother the Bonecrusher. Remember, the longer this goes, the more fatigued the Bonecrusher gets, whereas Bruno is a startling physical specimen. Reputed to get stronger with each round, which is bad news for Bonecrusher Smith, who waited an awful long time to get started in his boxing career.
Right hand by Bruno, and then Smith tried to go to the body. Bonecrusher Smith got the late jump in his pro career. 2 years in the Army, one-time U.S. Army sergeant, began boxing in the Army, and a hand injury also delayed his professional career.
Now Bonecrusher trying to out-jab Bruno. Bruno bothering him with that left hand. Bonecrusher doesn't seem to know how to block a jab. Neither man worked the body particularly. That was the first good body shot in a long time.
No contact, although the crowd reacted. Final seconds, second round. Now they were not exactly cheering him on. This is round 3. Frank Bruno in the blue, landing on Bonecrusher, who was able to come back with a good right hand. Bonecrusher on the attack.
He's wild, but he's punching with devastating effect. But Bruno's been able to outbox him thus far. Little support from the crowd. The danger of that is that Bonecrusher can wear himself out with an all-out attack like that.
Again, Bruno looking to land with the uppercut.
Bruno is outboxing Bonecrusher. That left hand is the key. He's setting him up with a left hand. He's been able to outbox him when Bonecrusher comes in wild.
These two do have one common opponent, Walter Santamore, a 4th-round knockout victim of both Smith and Bruno. He claimed that Bonecrusher Smith is the harder puncher.
Now, right now, he got hit a good right hand by Bruno, and it slowed him down considerably. It's only the 3rd round, and Bonecrusher's already showing signs of wear and tear. Fatigue is creeping into his motions.
again, a grazing blow.
Bonecrusher's legs are standing still. They're not moving. Bruno measuring him carefully. Oh, watch the lack of motion on the part of Bonecrusher.
And under a minute left, round 3, scheduled for 10. Bruno continues to flick the left hand and keep Smith away. Smith with that enormous reach, 81 inches.
You would think that Bonecrusher would be out jabbing Bruno, but the other way has been the way. For 3 rounds now, it's been that left hand of Frank Bruno that's been dominating the fight. All of a sudden, Bonecrusher looks like an old man. He can't go back. He totters back.
Good counter by Bruno. Final seconds, 3rd round. We'll be back right after these messages. And Bonecrusher Smith out for round 4. Referee Harry Gibbs checking in the corner of Smith a moment ago. Check the ear. Looked like there was some blood just to the left of the left ear of Smith, and his trainer, 6-time world champion Emil Griffith, checked it out. Apparently he's all right.
It's a little nick on the ear. He was worried that the blood coming from inside the ear would be more significant, of course. Again, the dominant left of Bruno has opened this round. Get the feeling Bonecrusher has to husband his energy. He can't let it go all out at the beginning of a round like he did that last round, because he died for the rest of the round. Good right hand, but good counterpunch by Bruno. Seems to have Bonecrusher in trouble.
And again, this crowd responds to Frank Bruno. Past the 1-minute mark, round 4. Bonecrusher Smith looking very tired.
Bruno able to just pop that jab in there with impunity. Nothing going on Bonecrusher's jab. He's just sort of pawing it out. It's either being blocked or it's a foot short. That uppercut that's been landing all night's getting harder. Every time it lands, it looks like Bonecrusher's knees buckle.
And Bruno going to the body of Smith.
That's an important fight for both these guys. They're heavyweights, and there's nothing going on in the upper heavyweight division, and 3 champions to pick from, which means that whoever wins and wins decisively here has got an open golden road.
And the British have had many heavyweight hopes who have cracked the top 10 and then been horribly exposed. The hope in England is that Frank Bruno is shaping up in a different manner. Go back to Henry Cooper and Ryan London, Richard Dunn, Joe Buckner.
Well, of that lot, Henry Cooper was really the genuine prospect. He was a wonderful fighter, but he cut and bled too much, but he was a genuine article.
And all of those folks met up with a fellow by the name of Muhammad Ali. Wrong era for others.
He just hung in through too many eras. He just kept meeting them all.
And Bruno ending the round with a flurry. On to round 5. Bonecrusher Smith has gone as far as 8. Bruno has gone as far as 7. In that 7-round bout, Bruno had his difficulties with Jumbo Cummings. It stopped Cummings in the 7th. Last May, stopped Scott Ledoux in 3. Cummings and Ledoux, the only known opponents on the knockout ledger of Frank Bruno, is 20-0, all 20 by knockout. With the fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco, Marv Albert, Wembley Arena in Wembley, England.
One of the things that's happened to Bonecrusher is he's getting no help from the corner. In the corner, it's only Emil Griffith, who was a marvelous 6-time world champion, but he can't do the work of 3 men. he should have someone massaging his arms. He should have someone working on his feet to get the circulation going on his legs.
The right hand by Bruno on a counter got in on Smith.
You're looking at the same type of fight we had a few moments ago with Buster Drayton and Kaler. Bonecrusher is being so dominated that he needs to get one of those big bombs in there, as his countryman Buster Drayton did on Mark Taylor. And with heavyweights, anything can happen.
That was earlier today on our ringside show with Drayton pulling the surprise, stopping Kaler in round 7.
Here's a case of a man looking exhausted, looking for that one good shot, being peppered by that left hand. And the other man looking fresh. Bruno looks fresh. He's boxing his kind of fight. He's calling the tempo. He's dominating the fight.
Referee Harry Gibbs.
Face of Bonecrusher etched with fatigue. Bonecrusher patiently fighting his fight, trying not to take a chance.
And again, Gibbs getting involved.
What's in Frank? Underneath, Frank, underneath.
Now, Bonecrusher needed this round to catch his breath if there was ever a time, because up to now, he's been getting so tired at the end of every round that he's having a hard time making it back to his corner.
And Bruno has slowed down considerably in this round.
Both needed a rest. I think their tension was very high.
Final seconds, round 5. And James Bonecrusher Smith, 29 years old, from Magnolia, North Carolina, farm town of 2,500. Says it's a town without a traffic light. He is in the red. Record of 13-1, 11 by knockout. Frank Bruno in the blue, 22 years old, local hero out of London, 20-0, all 20 by knockout. Interesting matchup because both fighters in their previous bouts dominated their opponents because of their mammoth proportions. Bruno at 6'3" and Smith at 6'4".
That's what makes this fight such an interesting crossroad fights, also because they're on the verge of the Golden Road. But both of them, as you can see, are a rather raw product. That's pure power going on in there right now. Not that much boxing skill, although Frank Bruno is dominating with his boxing skill. His jab has been controlling the action, and of course contributing a great deal to the fatigue of Bonecrusher, who's looking for his one good shot. And as we saw previously this evening, that's all it takes.
Go! Get one! Get one! Right, get back!
And we're halfway through. Round 6 coming up on 10:30 in the evening. Here in London, you saw the uppercut thrown by Bruno and a right hand by Bruno.
You get the feeling that Bruno, if he stepped on the gas, could finish this. But quite possibly, knowing what happened to Mark Kaler earlier with a surprise knockout, he's being very cautious. Terry Lawless in his corner, very cautious manager, likes to take things easy and let it come. He doesn't want him to get crazy.
Under a minute left, 6th round, and Smith going very wide with his punches.
Emil Griffith yelling, "Do it!" pleading with him.
Good combination by Smith.
And Bruno should not be there on the ropes. Bruno should not be there on the ropes. He's getting hit.
Coming up on 15 seconds left in the 6th round. Crusher Smith.
Best round he's ever had.
Five-rounder Bertie Pacheco from Wembley Arena in Wembley, England. We're located about 10 miles outside of central London. And it's James Bonecrusher Smith in the red, Frank Bruno in the blue. Smith with a good conclusion in round 6. How do you have the fight thus far?
I have it quite unofficially 59-55 in favor of Bruno. As a matter of fact, I thought that was the first round that Smith won, and he won it right at the end because Bruno abandoned what's been doing so well for him, the left jab and the movement. Once he goes on the ropes and stands still, Bonecrusher's got a chance to land his haymakers. Low punch by Bonecrusher. They're punching very cleanly, no punches to the body.
Smith, who was dictating the action a moment ago, was turned by Bruno and put onto the ropes. And again, the crowd reacts to every conceivable move, although not much is happening.
3 jabs by Bruno, and the crowd is on its feet. Bruno is now showing some signs of weariness. After that late 6th round belaboring, he's not as cocky as he was. He's not punching as hard. But then again, neither is Bonecrusher. Both showing great signs of weariness. Except that Bonecrusher can get off that one shot. Even as tired as he is, when he fires with a devastating quickness. But it's only one punch. He never follows it up. He hasn't got the energy to keep going. If one punch can do it. Oh.
And we saw the left, and he hurt Bruno. The combination by Smith.
And there goes Bruno saving himself with a left hook, with a left jab, and trying to move away.
And Bruno back with a chopping right, but he did not hurt Smith.
Great heavyweight action. They're trading punches. And Bruno's corner's got to be nervous when you trade with the Bonecrusher.
And they're chanting for Frank Bruno. Good left hand again by Smith.
Look how he triggers off those punches. Look at the Bonecrusher.
Final second. 6th round. We'll be right back. A lot of chatter on the part of manager Terry Lawless. He is the man talking to Frank Bruno. Lawless, manager Bruno, he's been the man behind 4 world champions, including James Watt and Maurice Hope.
He's got to be telling them, don't stand on those ropes, don't trade with them. Get in the middle of the ring, move, use your jab. You got this fight.
On to round 8.
The last 2 rounds have been Smith's because of the inactivity of most of the round, and then his flurries at the end, which were meaningful, strong, and hard punches. Bruno again letting himself get trapped on the ropes for no reason at all. Jab that he's pulling out there is nothing remotely like the one it was at the beginning of this fight. It's lazy, it's slow, tentative. If Bonecrusher has his second win, this could be a totally different fight. If there is more gas in that old gas tank, it could be some kind of finish to this fight.
Well, Bruno has never been extended past 7, so this is the longest that he has been forced to go. Bonecrusher has gone as many as 8. Won an 8-round decision over Chris McDonald.
For the first time I see a look of worry etched on the face of Bruno. Frank Bruno Not looking as confident as he had before. Not willing to risk it at all with the Bonecrusher. Those body shots, by the way, that Bonecrusher has been landing at the end of both rounds have taken their toll on Frank.
Bruno using the jab, but has not much going for him.
The jab is good if you're going to follow it with a right hand and a hook, but if you're just going to jab, nothing's happening. Just building up some points, but not much.
The pity pat on the part of Frank Bruno.
Now, both these guys are very muscled up. These muscled up guys get tired. They burn up an awful lot of energy moving those big muscle masses.
Under a minute left. Round 8. There's a right hand. Thrown by Bruno. Not much impact on it.
But that's what should be following those jabs. That's a good right hand. It's about time for the Bonecrusher's cavalry charge here at the end. Blood still coming from the ear, and that little nick right on the earlobe of Bonecrusher Smith.
And closing in on 10 seconds left in this 8th round. It's been a walkthrough 8th round. Both Bruno and Smith worn down. Past 10:30 here at the Wembley Arena in Wembley, England. The side of Marvin Hagler winning the middleweight title by beating Alan Mentor. England's John Conti winning the world light heavyweight title here. And a heavyweight matchup between the 6'4" James Bonecrusher Smith in the red and 6'3" Frank Bruno in the blue. And what does the fight doctor's scorecard tell us?
I have it 78 to 75, or 5-2-1 in rounds. But remember, only the referee scores, and this crowd is so loud, and the roaring is so big. I wonder what effect that will have, this partisan crowd. I can't imagine them giving even a close fight to Bonecrusher, so Bonecrusher must feel the urgency he must get a knockout to win here.
Referee is the sole arbiter, scores the fight, no judges involved, scoring on the 10-point must system, but the winner of a round usually gets a half a point more than the loser of the round if it's close. So they deal here in fractions. A knockdown would make for a 1-point differential in most instances.
I must say, the many, many years that I've come here and worked with fighters, one of the things that we always said in the boxing crowd, if you got to go to a foreign land, go to England, because they bend over backwards for you. But even here, with this 10,000 roaring people, and Harry Gibbs is a world-class referee, has refereed, I guess as many world championship matches as anybody. I don't think that would affect him too much. But still, it has to have some factor in the fight.
Not much happening right here. Two tired big men.
9 rounds of this for a big man. It is a marathon.
And Freddie, whatever happens from here on in for the much heralded Frank Bruno has to be a disappointment.
Well, depends on whether he wins or not. If he wins, when you consider you have a man like Evangelista ranked 10th in the world, Bruno is ranked 9th, by the way. You know there's a dearth of heavyweights. And he's 22-0 if he wins. He'll be 21-0 rather if he wins.
Non-action 9th round. Smith and Bruno just leaning on each other.
You know, you get the feeling they lull themselves into inactivity and then get hit.
Bruno did connect with the right hand. The immediate clinch by Smith as this round concludes. 10th and final round. We've had no knockdowns, and the crowd would like to see flailing away action. We have not seen much the last few rounds. Frank Bruno out of London, England, 22 years old in the blue, 20-0, all 20 by knockout. And James Bonecrusher Smith, 29 years old, from Magnolia, North Carolina, 13-1, 11 by KO.
And the Bonecrusher must know he needs a knockout here. He needs a spectacular round and a knockout. As so often happens in boxing, and we've seen over the last 4 years, when two punchers get together, somehow they never punch each other out. They just keep on fighting for 10 rounds. This isn't over yet, but they certainly both look weary enough to go to a decision.
Oh, good left hand by Smith, and he hurt Bruno.
There it is again. Bruno's hurt. He keeps getting hit. His hands are down. The referee's going to stop it.
Smith putting Bruno down. About a minute and a half remaining in this 10th and final round. And referee Gibbs says that's it.
That's it.
James Bonecrusher Smith has stopped Frank Bruno in round 10. And look at the reaction of Bonecrusher Smith. It has not been a pleasant evening for the British.
I think I'm leaving early tonight. Both fights remarkably similar. The previous fight, the man losing completely was the one who won. And in this fight, Bonecrusher Smith losing completely. Desperation punch needed. And there the inexperience of Frank Bruno showed. Instead of grabbing, instead of holding, or instead of going down for a count, he's so far ahead, he stood there and took the punches. And that was the end of Frank Bruno. And you gotta wonder what happens when you build a guy up to 20-0 and all of a sudden he wakes up and says, uh-oh, this is boxing and it's a tough business.
Well, the critics, the British press, have been saying all along that Bruno has been fed a series of easy opponents. And James Bonecrusher Smith, at this point, not to be confused with Larry Holmes or Jerry Coetzee, but still a step up in quality, able to stop Frank Bruno with the barrage midway through the 10th round. So much for the heralded Frank Bruno.
You will watch, he has his hands down and is totally defenseless after this punch. His hands are down. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anywhere in here they could have stopped it. 6, 7. Finally, Harry Gibbs steps in only to count over the prostate form of Frank Bruno.
Bonecrusher Smith making it 14-1, 12 by knockout. We'll be back in a moment. And Bonecrusher Smith in round 10, and the fight doctor is in the ring alongside Bonecrusher.
No question about it. This has got to be the biggest thrill of your life.
Yes, sir. He had me puzzled. He was running me crazy with that jab. The best jab I've ever been in front of. I couldn't. Griffin kept telling me, going to the body, going to the body. I was trying, but he was running me crazy with that jab.
Now, you look so fatigued all through the fight. How in the world did you suck it up there in that last round?
Well, he was telling me a lot of things to do. You know, we knew we were behind on points. I was a little confused. The last round, I told him to let me do it my way. So he did. He didn't say a word. And I went out. I knew if he stopped on the ropes, I had him.
Were you surprised with all the motion he gave you that he stopped on the ropes and let you punch like that?
I was surprised, yeah. If he'd have kept moving, I'd have been in trouble. I would have lost the fight. But he stopped. Lord bless him. He stopped on the ropes. Nobody can stop in front of me. That's right.
Well, it was
against Carl the Truth Williams. We go now to Trump Plaza in Atlantic City, New Jersey, where our special correspondent, WBC super middleweight champ and HBO boxing analyst Sugar Ray Leonard is on hand for the Tyson Williams weigh-in. Ray, what's going on there right now?
Well, good morning, Spencer. This is a typical scene here the day before a major fight, especially one concerning Mike Tyson. You have reporters from all over the world, fight fans and supporters, here to see one thing, whether or not there's a person on this planet that can contend with Mike Tyson. Now, the natural procedure is the challenger will weigh in first, followed by the champion. 215 pounds. Carl Williams, 208 pounds. Okay, Mike Tyson. What's his weight? Carl Williams has the height and reach advantage, and he wants to use that to his advantage. The champion, Mike Tyson, is about to step on the scale now. Mike Tyson is professional record 36-0-32 by Mike Tyson, 219 and a quarter. Mike Tyson, 219 and 1/4 pounds.
All right, now, Ray, you've seen both of these guys close up. Let's talk about condition, and let's talk about the champion first. In Tyson's last fight against Bruno, he didn't appear to be particularly sharp, and many people thought he was a little overweight. How does he look to you now?
Well, Mike Tyson looks very, very sharp. He looks very trim to me. I spoke briefly with him, Spencer, and he appears to be extremely relaxed and very content.
Okay, now what about Williams? He says he's in the best shape of his life right now. Is that true?
Well, that's yet to be seen.
Yeah.
An interesting point is the fact that these two guys sparred together years ago.
Right.
And truth feels that he got the best of Mike Tyson. So this is only a continuation of that sparring session.
Well, that's an interesting point. He did. A lot of people are saying that Williams did get the best of Tyson in that sparring session. And, you know, every time Tyson fights, we make a big deal about the fear factor. We say that once an opponent looks in Tyson's eyes, he shows that he's got this fear of Tyson. I don't sense any of that in Carl Williams. Do you?
I don't really see that myself, Spencer. As a matter of fact, the psychological warfare is already taking place here, and the intimidation factor, that's what Carl the Truth Williams says, doesn't faze him at all. And normally, Tyson beats his opponents before they step into the ring.
Are you able to talk to the fighters right now, or have they moved away?
Well, because I'm a cautious person, because these guys outweigh me by 70 pounds, I'm going to feel my way through this one.
Okay. See if you can get them over there if you can.
I will. As a matter of fact, Spence, because normally, because of the anxieties and the pressure, these guys here are very intense now.
Right.
But I'll do the best I can.
Okay.
You back me up.
Okay, we'll back you up here. Ray is going to try to grab one of the fighters if he can. This is a very intense moment, as Ray Leonard pointed out, for fighters getting ready for a big fight like this. They've obviously focused on what they have to do when they step into the ring, and casual conversation is not something they want to engage in at this moment. Ray, while you're waiting for one of them to come over, maybe, well, here's the champion right here, adjusting the strings on his shorts. Ray, while you're there, let me ask you if you can assess Carl Williams' chances against Tyson. Well, here comes Mike. Maybe you can grab him as he comes over.
Spencer, do you hear me okay?
Okay, I hear you, Ray. Go right ahead.
So, Mike, how do you feel, champion? Great. You seem to be very trim now. In fact, Carl the Truth Williams says that in the sparring session, he got the best of you. Is that true? Come on, Williams. See, come on. Come up to you, champ. Thanks, champ. Thank you, baby.
All right, the champ does seem very relaxed, very calm at this moment. What about Williams? I guess he's okay.
The rules meeting will take place right back in that corner in the right after we finish selecting the gloves.
The procedure now is basically selecting the type of gloves that both fighters want to use.
While he's started with that, Ray, let me ask you this. You know the styles. Can you hear me, Ray? Ray, can you hear me right now? Apparently not. Well, he's waiting for Carl the Truth Williams to pick out the gloves he's going to use in this fight. And as we pan over, we can see him going through the motions now. Tough time to step in and do an interview, so we're going to cut away from Atlantic City right now. Apparently, Ray Leonard can't hear me at this moment anyhow. But there was your weigh-in, the champ weighing 219 and a quarter pounds. Both men weigh about the same, but Carl the Truth Williams, being about, 4 or 5 inches taller, obviously has a reach advantage and believes he has a style and speed advantage. But
after him, if you get him down, I mean, it was just one big scandal.
I had really 2 seconds to make a judgment. I said to him, how do you feel? The first response was closed eyes and no answer. With the next second closing, I said, how do you feel? I was not so interested in what he said, but how he said it. He said nothing, and this time the stare was totally blank.
Although some boxing purists
if you're having some kind of problem with the steroid test, because I'm ready to go and do the steroid test because or any test whatsoever, because I work damn hard to get here right now, very hard. And I don't want anyone coming in the ring cheating or using any steroid. Not that I'm suggesting that Leonard's good, but I just want it to be fair and be on the up and up. So when we walk in the ring, we're going to know who's going to be the better man. That's all I want.
We're told that steroids anyway are not forbidden by the WBC, so there's
I'm not saying the WBC forbidden it. I am forbidding it. I'm the one who's walking in the ring. We signed the contract, and the contract stated in the contract that everyone who fight Razor ought to take a steroid test, because I've been in there and I know what I'm talking about.
Could we just ask that explanation?
No, I couldn't really understand. Is Razor saying that I'm on steroids?
No, I didn't say that. I did not say that.
No, I want to clarify that.
No.
Oh, you're afraid that I'm on steroids? No, that I might be on steroids? Yes. What is it?
Look, all I want to
do you believe that I'm on steroids?
Are you going to let him answer the question? Are you going to shut up and let me answer the question?
You want to